I'm mad.
Why are you mad now?
Because I saw you flirting with another girl.
When?
Last night. In my dreams.
In your dreams?
Yes. And what? I'm not happy about it, okay?
What? It's in your dreams. It didn't happen.
It basically happened. Are you kidding me? I lived it. I lived through it, and there you were flirting. Right in front of me.
Really? I should be mad because you're the one dreaming, not the other way around.
Well, I can't control my dreams.
Well, get unmad, honey. It was in your dream. It's made up.
Yeah, that probably means it's going to happen in real life.
No.
Dreams come true.
It only happens in your dreams because I'm not flirting with anybody.
Well, I guess we'll see. We'll see if the dream comes true or not. And if it does, I'm still going to be mad.
Because I flirted with a girl in your dreams?
Yes, and then it happens in real life, yes.
Was the girl in your dreams hot?
Well, yes, she was very beautiful.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I know some of you don't like the AI kids and stuff like that, but it is what it is. Tonight's goal, which as usual is 15 yellows. It means $10 super chats or Rumble Reds collectively. In that case, if we reach our goal, which as I say, it's a good goal. It's a goal because sometimes we reach it, sometimes we don't. You never know. I will share with you a dating story. When in my before I got married, I some of you may know I'm infamous for having dated 86 girls. It's a different thing than for most of you. It's not like 86. And I had a few war stories, which are people seem to enjoy. A couple of my stories that happen. One or two of them. So if we reach that goal, I don't like to just throw things out of the blue. But if people want it, we reach the goal, I'll share one of my war stories at the end of the show. Anyhow, so that's the goal. And we'll see if we hit it. If we hit it, great. If we don't, it's also good. This is the first one for Bella. Where's Bella? I haven't seen Bella in a minute. It's been a minute. She is our queen of recruitment. Speaking of recruiting, God bless you, Job for 9. Hitting us with, starting us off with 5 new members of the following. What'd you bring? He brought in here Vivian James. Welcome to the following, Vivian James. Welcome indeed. As well as welcome to one Petrescu, one and Saxon Rainey, Catania Mama, and Mr. E 409. Welcome to the following. Some of you, I don't recognize you as being former members of the following, so I'm just going to tell you in case you're unaware. The following might sound like it's a cult because you hear that, a following, a cult, and so it's not at all a cult type of code. There's no tracksuits, they're mandatory. No virgin sacrifices, no Kool-Aid, no virgin sacrifices, throwing them into volcanoes, no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, very mild farm work, no dancing around a bonfire in the middle of a forest. It's really not at all a cult type of cult, but welcome aboard. We're really glad you joined. One of us. Speaking of, so you guys are showing the love early tonight, and I very much appreciate it. This is for our community. I don't know which community. First for Bella, but thank you, Brian Ogden. There she is. Our queen of recruitment. There she is. 27 months. Hello. It's good to see you, my friend. Not that I'm a leader, because I'm not at all. Everyone knows. Joe is not at all the leader of the following. And Jim Suttel, hi Joe. Sorry about last night. If I'm still streaming when you end tonight, a redirect would be awesome. I'm a step ahead of you. I am a step ahead of you. We are ready, set to redirect. That's right. A step ahead of you. Thank you. Thank you. I saw that you sent me a DM. There was a link. I don't remember. I remember you sent me one. But I don't remember if I ended up incorporating it or not. But I did see that. Are all your former girlfriends in the cult? No. I suspect zero of them are in a cult. Not that I'm in a cult. I'm not in a cult. No. So my gut says no. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Brian. You're awesome. And Chicago Jan, new member. Welcome aboard, Chicago Jan. Thank you so much for joining us. And final question: if a fugitive is arrested out of country by feds, will it be a federal trial? You would think so, right? I mean, the feds usually only get involved if it's a federal crime. So you would think it would be a federal case, right? I would think so. Where else would it be anyway, right? It's all the less likely to be in state court if they're arrested internationally, right? So that would be my guess. That would be my, depending on the nature. Just popping in to give an arbitrary Jewish space lasers comment. Love you. Adding as a member. Thank you so much. Okay, before I get into the topics that I listed in the description, I find frequently that I'll come across topics that just like, I'm like, they were sort of, they just sort of ring out at me, and I'm just, yeah. And I saw this clip. And I wasn't going to cover it. I was just going to let it go here. But then I saw a follow-up vid. Well, let me explain to you. This is about Bed Bath & Beyond. In case you're unfamiliar with Bed Bath & Beyond, who I think at one point did declare bankruptcy, but they're still doing their thing. Because you can declare bankruptcy in some places when the reason that happens typically is when you file bankruptcy, it doesn't necessarily mean shuttering your doors that day. Sometimes there's such a thing, and I haven't been following the Bed Bath & Beyond saga in particular, but sometimes you'll have what's called bankruptcy that ends up becoming a reorganization, and it'll be an ongoing concern. So you'll file for bankruptcy, and then the bankruptcy court, which is a whole other animal separate and apart from the rest of the court system. It's part of the federal banking system. And when a company files for bankruptcy, or an individual files for bankruptcy, but this would happen only with a company, that they have a reorganization. So in that type of scenario, there's a third party who comes in and oversees the financial situation there, and sometimes they'll manage to find what they call a white knight, and that white knight will come in fronting a lot of money toward the company for the purposes of getting special dispensations and protections and hoping that the company can turn itself around. And that white knight will usually have a great deal of preference and priority if, in fact, the company should go belly up for good in the future. And it comes time to liquidate the assets, the white knight ends up standing in front of all the other creditors because they're the ones who came in under a bankruptcy order for reorganization. And that's just part of our bankruptcy code. So even though I believe they filed bankruptcy 3 years ago or so, at least that's what Gavin Newsom claims. And when he said it, it rang a bell in my brain that they had filed for it. But they are still apparently operating. And this is a statement from someone who's near the top of the chain, if not the very top of the chain in Bed Bath & Beyond, talking about how they're not going into California anymore.
We've made the decision to not open in the state of California. And while it was a big place for business in the past for Bed Bath & Beyond, it's just too cost prohibitive. At some point, some business needs to take a stand and remind the state of California that while they keep reminding us that they're the fourth largest economy in the world, that's going to dissipate over time. We've made the decision to not open in the state.
That was a slap in the face to Gavin Newsom, basically saying your state kind of sucks, not because of the people, not because of the potential target markets there, but because of you. because of the way you do things. That's why you kind of suck. So that's basically what the message is there. And Gavin, that wasn't lost on Gavin Newsom at all. He wasn't too excited about that. Here's their official statement from Marcus Lemonis. He's the executive chairman. That's who he is. I believe that was Marcus. He's the one up here, right? So this looks like him. That's got to be him, right? All right. Official statement. We will not open retail stores in California. This isn't about politics. It's about reality. California's system makes it nearly impossible for businesses to succeed, and it won't put our company, our employees, or our customers in that position. See attachment. We will not open or operate retail stores in California. This, I don't know. It's really weird how retail stores would be reluctant to open stores in a state that says we're not going to prosecute anyone who steals under $1,000 worth of goods from your stores. It's like, what if 100 people come in? We just lose $100,000 worth of goods, and you're not even going to prosecute. We can't do anything to stop them. And if we try to stop them, then we're risking that we're going to go to prison if something goes down badly. Like, this is why would you? How can you operate like that? This decision isn't about politics, it's about reality. California has created one of the most overregulated, expensive, and risky environments for businesses in America. It's a system that makes it harder to employ people, harder to keep doors open, harder to deliver value to customers. The result, higher taxes, higher fees, higher wages that many businesses simply cannot sustain, and endless regulations that strangle growth. Even when the state announces a budget surplus, it's built on the backs of ordinary citizens who are paying too much and businesses who are squeezed until they break. At Bed Bath & Beyond, our responsibility is to our customers and our shareholders. We will not participate in a system that undermines both. Instead, we are investing in a California strategy that works: 24 to 48-hour delivery, and in many cases, same-day service. Californians will continue to get the products they love through bedbathandbeyond.com, but without the inflated costs created by an unsustainable model. This is the ultimate, like, pap. We're taking a stand because it's time for common sense. Businesses deserve the chance to succeed. Employees deserve jobs that last, and customers deserve fair prices. California's system delivers the opposite. That's why Bed Bath & Beyond will serve California customers directly through bedbathandbeyond.com. There's no and. Make note that there's no and in there, just bedbathbeyond.com. On our terms and with the best interests and with their best interests at heart. So that's what Bed Bath & Beyond was saying about the situation, the California situation. Here's Gavin Newsom. His response: the company that already went bankrupt and closed every store across the country 2 years ago? Okay. Yeah. Well, they have 300 stores now, apparently. So there you go. And let's check this. I want to check this out next. The older millennial, who's a guy I like. I like him a lot. He's very entertaining. So he brought up how Governor Newsom's official statement to Bed Bath & Beyond was F you, bye. That was what Governor Newsom's press secretary puts out. What? I mean, it's one thing for like the traditional snark from Gavin Newsom, which is like basically, you know, he's the 2025 version of Nero fiddling while Rome burns. He's like, oh yeah, oh ha, you went bankrupt 2 years ago. Maybe because they were still in California. That's what I should have put down, damn it. That's what I wanted to put down. I put this, the snark on the 2025. All right. It never works when I try doing this here. There we go. Sorry. Let's hear from older millennial now. I'm back. Don't mind me.
I mean, look, we all knew this was going to happen sooner or later. Governor Newsom's press office was so focused on being so edgy, just clapping back at everyone, that we knew they were going to overstep. We knew they were going to say something that made them look like total fucking idiots. And here we are. This is just a statement from Bed Bath & Beyond. They said they're not going to be opening retail stores in California. They made it clear this isn't about politics. It's just about reality. Talking about how the system makes it nearly impossible for businesses to succeed, but they're not going to open stores there because of the economics. And the response from the official press office of Governor Gavin Newsom is fuck you, bye. I just want you to imagine being the governor of a state and then having an account that is your press office, an account that puts out your official statements, your response to nationwide businesses saying that your state is a hard place to grow in and that they need to make smart economic decisions for the good of their brand. And your response is, fuck you. Guys, look, there's being edgy and then there's just being a troll. Congratulations, press office. You're now the latter.
And here's the thing. He is trying to mimic Trump. There's no question that Newsom recently in his tweeting style, there's just a lot of things he's been doing to try and mock, you can say mock or Trump, parody Trump, lampoon Trump, or literally just imitate him. And I think he does think that that's the sort of thing Trump would say. It's not at all something Trump would say. He would never do that. That's not what he would do. But one more clip I wanted. Kevin Dalton saying Bed Bath & Beyond said the taxes and overregulation in California made it impossible to do business in the state, and Gavin Newsom makes fun of them. I'm sure he's also laughing about this long list of businesses that have fled the state since he was elected governor. Look at this. Look at this. At a certain point, you have to say, like, maybe reassess. Maybe it's time to reassess, like, what we're doing here. They were here, but they left. I mean, the list just McAfee, Pabst Brewing, Tesla. They're all leaving. Like, and that's the thing. Trump will get edgy. Trump will say things less now than he used to, but not to his bread and butter. Your customers, your businesses, that's your bread and butter. I mean, should be, if you're going to have a state that's healthy. Instead, you put out like this little cringe thing of like, oh, F you, bye. So stupid. So dumb. It's really, really dumb. Anyhow, so yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond joins the long list of companies that says, adios, amigos. Adios, muchachas. All right. We're going to come back. I'm going to come back to talking more about Gavin Newsom in the redistricting element in the latter half of this show. Don't think that I'm done talking about Newsom. I got a lot more that I wanted to talk about with respect to him and what's happening in California with their whole efforts to try and cram through redistrictation. People say redistricting. The redistrictization. Redistrictization of California. I think that's right. I think I nailed it. Redistrictization. I'm turning it into a noun, right? So it's the redistrictization. That's got to be right. I'm not looking that up. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. On principle, I am not looking this up. but it's got. I'm just going with it. That's like, take it out to the bank. Take that one to. Homeschooling e-books. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, let's catch up. There's a few other blurbs in the news I want to catch up for a second. Some of my main stories here. Okay, so but I will come back to Gavin Newsom. I know everyone loves hearing about Gavin Newsom. I will come back. Okay, just put your popcorn on the side if you need to. You can pop it in later. But right now, I first want to cover Karoline Leavitt dealing with the press corps today, dealing with the press in the wake of the whole Russia-Ukraine talks and how they were handling this whole situation. So we're going to turn to Vigilant Fox, who I highly recommend. You guys follow him. This is a shameless plug where I am not even making a penny off of this, which is just par for the course. I'm just going to tell you, there's only one account on all of X I subscribe to, and it happens to be Vigilant Fox. And I feel like this is a worthwhile business expense because he'll bring me nice little dissectable, chewable clips that I can share with you. So that's basically why. And he'll make a thread out of them. And this one regarding what he calls the White House Showdown earlier today, this was a nice, juicy one that I was like, I think this is a worthwhile one for my audience for us to review together. And I feel like I don't know that all of you are able to get, some of his stuff is protected, some isn't. But I felt like I use him enough that it's appropriate. Let me just cover this real fast before we get into Karoline Leavitt and her blasting of the media today, and she really did blast them. We got you a dimwit sharing becoming a new YouTube member. Welcome to the following, you a dimwit. It's a great name. I want the golden ticket. I don't know what that means, Brian. I don't know what that means. Gavin's getting all ends investigation into the fire aid money, commercial driver who killed 3 people, and this too. I plan on talking a little bit about the commercial driver who killed 3 people. Yesterday, someone referenced by an abbreviation CDL when I was talking about California, and I thought he was talking about a California driver's license, but I think they might have meant commercial driver's license because that's a big topic going on in the news. In case you're unaware, there was an illegal alien who was a commercial driver who somehow got a commercial driver's license from the state of California, and this has caused a bit of a stir after he ended up killing several people in an accident. So, and turns out that there's all sorts of pressure right now to try and turn up the squeeze on laws which say they're not supposed to have, you can't speak English, you're not supposed to have a driver's license. You can't read road signs. Like it's kind of insane to think. It's like, imagine you're driving on a road in a foreign country where you don't speak the language, and there's just all these different signs in a language you can't read, and you're trying to figure out how to go to one place you're going 60 miles an hour. I guess if you're not in the States, you'd probably be going like 94 kilometers per hour or whatever stupid metric system they use there. But you're tearing along the highway and you're just sort of seeing like these squiggling lines in Arabic. And now you're sitting there trying to figure out like, wait, is that my turn? I thought our turn had 4 squiggles. That one only had 3. I thought I saw 4 squiggles. No, there was 3 squiggles. It doesn't make any sense. You can't drive that. That doesn't make any sense. To be a commercial driver, I mean, I don't get it. Brian, I know Golden Ticket is from Willy Wonka. I just don't get how it's coming in here. But thank you, brother. I don't know. Anyhow, let me get back in to Karoline Leavitt doing her thing. Karoline doing her thing. White House Showdown. The press walked in expecting spin. Instead, Karoline Leavitt burned their fake narratives at the stake, obliterating months of lies about Trump's peace push in Ukraine. Here's the first clip where she comes out just drilling them about the point that as to like how she's well, let's just start.
President Putin publicly confirmed what President Trump has said all along. The war between Russia and Ukraine never would have started in the first place if President Trump were in office. This was always obvious to any person with a shred of common sense.
Yes, yes, yes. Every time he said out loud, there'd be no war at all. There'd be no war at all if, in fact, he had, been properly declared the winner in 2020. That there's zero chance Russia goes into Ukraine. That was obvious to anyone who is just engaging in good faith analysis based on the history of I don't know, Russia during the 21st century. I mean, just look at, and she's listed off. Go for it, Karoline.
Just look at what took place during the last 4 administrations. Under George W. Bush, Russia invaded Georgia.
Yep.
Under Barack Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Joe Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. But under President Trump, Russia did not invade nor take anything. President Putin.
So there you go. There you go. That's where she started. Then she looked the president in the eye and aimed directly at the very pundit seated in front of her. All right, let's let Karoline do her thing.
While previous presidents have traveled halfway around the world to apologize for America, President Trump stands up for America, and he has firmly restored America's status as the undisputed leader of the free world. However,
okay, I need to pause there. I'm sorry. I need to pause there. One of the things long ago, I'm talking when I was just a kid, a 38-year-old kid, just a wee little lad, and Trump and Obama is in his first term. When he went around the world as soon as he was sworn in, and he started traveling from one country to another, apologizing to the leaders of the free world in person, bending the knee and basically being all apologetic for America's imperialist history, that, oh, the audacity of us, and I want to come to you here just to say to your face, we're very sorry. That humiliation, that bending of the knee that he did to the entire world likely was the basis of him earning a Nobel Peace Prize. So he self-flagellated so that everyone would be like, oh, we love Obama, oh, look at him, while humiliating the United States of America. This is not leadership. This is not someone standing up and saying, when you come out there and you just start giving some global apology, for what? For what? But basically, because we've been involved in the war in Iraq, I guess. I don't know, or Afghanistan. Not that he was ever willing to pull out of Afghanistan. No. But we're leaving our troops here. But I'm saying, I'm so sorry. We feel so apologetic. And he's being lauded by the entire world and by his base as like, what a leader. Oh, this is real leadership. Oh, this is what a real... No, that is not real leadership. Real leadership is if there is accountability. That is part of being a real leader. But being a real leader is when you come out and you actually accept responsibility for your own personal screw up. This is something I'm going big on this one because I need you all to understand the distinction here. Because what he did, which was misportrayed as leadership, was not leadership at all. It was actually seeking self-praise. What do I mean by that? What I mean is this. Okay, imagine you are the leader of a particular movement, or it could be an army, it could be a company. It doesn't matter. You're the leader, and under your leadership, there is a tremendously terrible, humiliating moment. It could be a defeat. It could be some of your employees who are stepping out of line and doing things incorrectly. They come out and they do something terribly racist, or they, get offensive to someone. They display that they're not, that they reflect poorly on the company that you are in charge of while you're in charge of it. And they do that, and they come out there, and you come out and you say, look, I am terribly sorry about this. This never should have happened. I accept personal responsibility myself. And I'm going to assure you that nothing like this will ever happen, and that we'll take appropriate steps to ensure that nothing like this will happen again. And I'm truly sorry. That is leadership. That is someone who's taking accountability that, hey, this person just reflected on me. That is a sign of leadership. That is very, very different from what Obama did when he did his whole stupid little apology world tour. It's like he brought out, I half expected him to bring out like all, a whole lineup of stars from the Billboard Top 100, start singing all sorts of songs of "We Are So Sorry" or whatever stupid group sing-a-thon they would have there, so that everyone would know just how sincerely sorry he is for everything that America has done. He wasn't the leader when any of that happened. So what he's actually really, really saying in that moment is, everything that America has done before I became president, I am hereby rejecting as being bad, evil, corrupt, misguided terribleness. And I now am coming forward and telling you that America is a pretty crappy place. And you should just know that I recognize that that I'm coming from a place that's a pretty crappy place. That's what he was doing in that moment, for the purpose of people saying, it's not you, it's just the terrible leaders and people before you. Because he knows it's not him, because he wasn't in charge. So he's basically he's sacrificing the dignity of America for his own personal glorification. It was the most disgusting, awful, terrible, terrible thing that to this day the left praises him for. Like, oh, what an amazing leader. That was the exact opposite of leadership. That was a person, instead of taking a situation and saying, hey, this is on me, I screwed up and I'm sorry and I apologize and I'm owning it. I'm gonna remedy my own error. You're saying the guy before me stunk. I am not like him. I am much better. And I apologize that the guy you had to deal with before me, or the several people before me, all the white presidents you had before me, they all sucked. They were all terribly evil and imperialistic, and they didn't care about anyone else. They were self-interested, but I happen to be a good guy. This is your classic white liberalism. This is the white knight savior who, I'm going to save the black people. All the other white people are terrible people, but I'm here standing up because I'm an ally. And I might be straight, but I'm standing up for the queers and the gays and the bis, the furries and everything else you can name out there, because I'm an ally. I'm a good person. That's what he was doing. He started that trend. That's where that trend started. No one was doing the whole I'm an ally thing. No. Obama started it. He didn't call himself an ally. That's the term which sort of morphed over time. But if you want to know where that concept came from, it was that guy right there. It was our own president right there with, oh, I'm an ally with you, the rest of the world. To hell with America. And this is the guy, oh, you know what we're going to do for you for that? Let's give you a Nobel Peace Prize. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Humiliating. It is so sickening. It is so sickening. When I saw that, I was like, you disgusting slime. And you come out here basically spitting on you, me, everyone else. Everyone else. We all suck. We're terrible. But Obama's here, the hero, the savior, the white knight. Oh, thank you, Obama. Oh, thank you. We're so glad we got to deal with someone who's so understanding and compassionate and knows how to deal with the rest of the country and is willing to put them before his own country. Go to hell. You're a leader. We put you up there for the purpose of you actually helping us. Listen, the real leadership is not simply being accountable. Real leadership is that when you come into a position of power, that you understand that your job is to better the people who put you in that position, not to be bettering everyone else for your own personal glorification. Your job there is to look out for their interests, number one. I said this over and over again. If you're a world leader from Germany, you should be Germany first. If you're a world leader from Japan, you should be Japan first. You should be Great Britain first. You should be America first. That doesn't mean that you basically treat other countries like garbage. It just means that, hey, you know what? My first, second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th interests are making sure America is being looked out for. And oh, by the way, if we happen to catch a few moments on the side that we can do something nice for other people, that's probably a good thing too. That's what your job is. That's why you got elected to be there. That's why your constituents put you in there, because they think you're the guy who's able to make us better. And I understand that it's true that there is some sort of benefit to actually having healthy relations with other countries. So you can't go around like some greedy child just grabbing. I get that. That's definitely true. But the reason that you're nice to other countries in that context is not because you're looking for your own personal glorification, but because that's in your own country's best interest. That's part of fulfilling your role, your duty to be acting in the best interest of your own country. But you go around some stupid worldwide apology tour like that, all you're doing is humiliating America. No one's sitting there saying, oh, we respect America now. No, if anything, you're just trying to make yourself that you're the pinnacle, that you're the person who everyone's going to sit there saying, we like and admire this man. He's so nice to us. Oh, thank you, sir. May I have another? Just stop it. Stop it. I can't. I hate that guy. I really hate that guy. All right. I got that. I just want to give you that overview. So she just reminded me of that. So I figured I'd get that off my chest.
One thing that has absolutely not changed is the media's negative and downright false coverage of President Trump and his foreign policy accomplishments. From the beginning of this entire process, much of the left-wing media has been actively rooting against the president of the United States in the pursuit of peace.
Which only goes to show you how twisted they are. That the media isn't interested in looking out for America or Americans. They're just interested in taking sides. And I don't care what Trump is doing. I'm going to try and portray it as something that's terrible, evil, or incompetent, or usually a healthy dose of all three of those categories. So that they don't care. It's not about assessing what it is. It's how can I spin this and frame this in a way that's designed to make Trump look terrible? How is that benefiting America? How is that benefiting anyone?
Initially, the media ridiculously claimed that President Trump was somehow beholden to Russia for even agreeing to have a face-to-face discussion with President Putin inside of the United States. The media said President Trump was making a grave mistake by, quote, legitimizing Putin. They were aghast that President Trump would treat another world leader like a world leader.
This is another thing, the whole thing about legitimizing. Like what? So I understand that if someone is a shill nothing nobody, I can understand complaints in saying, why would someone who is much greater, bigger, more powerful deign to deal with someone who's like a tiny little nothing and happens to be scum? Meaning there is a philosophy which says, hey, you know what? No one knows about him. And I don't want to give a Barbra Streisand effect here and start bringing attention to this loser who's a jerk by publicly calling him out as a loser and a jerk, because then everyone's going to start recognizing and thinking about him as if he has some sort of significance. So you don't want to, in that context, legitimize. That's where the term is legit, as far as legitimizing makes sense. It makes sense on the political stage where you say, hey, this is a terrorist organization. They're not a real country, and I'm not going to treat them as if they are a real country. I'm not going to legitimize them. The concept of saying that we shouldn't legitimize Putin makes no sense, because everyone recognizes he is the leader of Russia. Russia is a real country. Russia is a potential threat. So to say that you shouldn't legitimize Putin is ridiculous. That doesn't even make any sense. It's not even, but it is something that Karoline is correct, that they do complain, like, how do you legitimize Putin? It's not legitimizing. It's recognizing that, hey, you know what? We have this. It's like saying, why would you legitimize COVID? By actually responding to it. Look, you can hate him and think that it's purely evil. It doesn't mean that you can afford to ignore him the way you could some tiny little nothing. It's not like he's Azerbaijan. It's freaking Russia. Come on. Legitimize. So stupid.
The media relentlessly attacked President Trump and claimed he suffered a, quote, major defeat for not immediately emerging with a final agreement, even though he said heading into that meeting, this was a meeting to listen and to understand how to move the ball forward. All weekend following those historic U.S.-Russia bilateral talks, we listened to clueless pundits on television trying but failing to claim that the president had failed. The so-called experts in the foreign policy establishment, whose record is nothing but endless wars, trillions of wasted taxpayer dollars, and dead Americans, have the nerve to try and lecture President Trump, who has solved 7 global conflicts in 7 months, about peace.
I don't know that he's solved 7 conflicts. I don't know that he solved 7 conflicts, but he has actually solved 5 conflicts, according to even USA Today. The five conflicts that he's settled. I want to try and pull up. What is I think it was USA Today. I saw an article. I was reading it, and they were trying to knock him. Like, he says he solved 6 conflicts. That's not true. It's actually 5. It's like, dude's been there for 6 months. It's so funny. It's like, can you name a single conflict that was resolved by the Biden and or Obama administrations? Name one. Can you name one? I thought it was USA Today. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna find that. Is it New York Times? Okay, I'm not going to go through this whole New York Times article just because I don't like their font. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But we're just going to pull up. There was Armenia, Azerbaijan. That was one. That was why Azerbaijan was in my brain. The Congo versus Rwanda. They by the way, both leaders praised Mr. Trump, who stepped into a conflict that has long been mediated by Russia. Excuse me. Then you have Congo versus Rwanda, which he took care of, which they've been fighting for decades, apparently. No one ever talks about that. India and Pakistan. And then you have Israel, Iran. Everyone knows what he did with respect to that war. And then Cambodia and Thailand. That's 7 months. 7 months. Can you name any conflicts that were resolved? That were resolved by in this century by any other president? Can you name one? If you search on AI, you might find something. I don't know. Guy's been there for all 10 minutes, and he's like solving one crisis after another. And does he get any? And then they're like, he thinks he deserves a Nobel Prize. It's like, look, I don't really care enough about Russia, Ukraine to tell you that I care. Like, I really, truly, like, oh, this really matters to me. Like, I sit there at night saying, wow, I really hope that he manages to resolve this crisis. I think it'd be nice. It's a good thing. Okay. It's a good thing to do. I'm not looking for people to die unnecessarily. This is not something which is making or breaking my life. I'm not going to kid you. The only interest I have in him successfully negotiating a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia is twofold. One, I don't want to spend more money over there. And I'm concerned that if this conflict continues, we're just going to continue. It's going to be like a money pit, which is just going to be going on and on and on. So that's one element. And the other is because it would be like the ultimate troll on the left if he manages to successfully do this. I mean, that would be like just in their face. So
Previous presidents have.
Let's, I think there was one more clip I wanted to get to on this. Is that it? Oh. All right, let's
process. And instead of reporting, this is why Americans' trust in the mass media is at a lowest point in more than 5 decades.
Yep.
Diplomacy is a delicate.
I don't think even 5 decades. I don't think the American trust in the media has ever been lower, and like in American history. The only reason it's not is if you consider, me and my ilk, the alternative media. Obviously, I'm including the greater me, because there are countless people who are much more significant audience than I have, but alternative media who are not considered part of legacy media, maybe that's keeping the numbers from being completely cratered out as far as American trust in the media.
Process. And instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts towards peace. That is why I felt the need to set the record straight.
Now, I will point out to you that the part of the reason why the media hates Trump so completely, so thoroughly, part of the reason they will never forgive him is because he's the one who pulled back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz and basically said they're fake by just planting in American minds legacy media is fake news. You're fake news. You're fake news. No one ever, they had been fake news forever with respect to having a framing and a narrative, but he actually called attention to it. He called it out. He made the phrase fake news something that was completely legitimized from being a complete nothing burger into something that everyone accepts as, yeah, obviously they're fake news. And that has diminished their power. It's like he stole the what's the conch? Is that the word? Am I using the word? Like stole the conch? Because in a meeting, in a tribe, like whoever's holding the conch is able to talk. So the media, for the longest time, for decades, if not centuries, held the conch of public discourse. That whatever they said was the voice that everyone was going to hear and going to respect and recognize. And this is who we're all going to just focus our attention where they want us to focus because they're holding the conch. So too, legacy media is like, oh, okay, look, they're an established news agency, whether it's ABC News, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, the list goes on and on. New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, all of them being recognized as telling us the facts as they are. And that was shattered by Trump. And that plate, you can't put that plate back together again. And they know that. So he is the person who basically stole the conch from them. That now they're not the voice people look to anymore. They see it and it hurts them financially. It hurts them with respect to their levels of influence. So they're always going to hate him. Their legacy media is always going to hate him. And you can sort of almost say justifiably, but that's because he vanquished them because they had been so corrupt. He really would successfully vanquish them and stripping them of that unique power. Let's take a couple of Karoline Leavitt dealing with the media asking questions.
As of right now, there is no ceasefire in place. We've seen Russia continue its attacks on Ukraine. What indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have this meeting with Zelensky soon?
Because he spoke to him directly yesterday.
And he expressed that
Haley,
rather than later.
What indications are there from Putin that he really does plan on meeting Zelensky soon? Because he spoke to him yesterday. It's like, you're so stupid. Like, how does he know? Because he's not trying to do mind reading the way you guys always are into Trump. He actually talks to the guy. That was so good.
Spoke to that directly yesterday, and the president put that in his statement that he gave to all of you, the news media, knowing you'd be asking following that conversation in the effort of transparency.
As of
so good. So good. Sean McCreesh from the New York Times. McCreesh, who writes endless hit pieces attacking the president, for every move he makes tries to stir up more doubt, but this time Leavitt didn't let it slide. He questioned Trump's strategy for brokering peace because journalists are much better at diplomacy than the president. If the point is to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? Oh, here he is.
The point is to get everybody on the same page. Why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room? He said it would be disrespectful to do that. But why is it disrespectful?
With all due respect, only a reporter from the New York Times would ask a question like that, Sean.
Only a reporter from the Times would ask something quite that stupid. No, that's the way all mediators operates. I'll explain further in a moment. Let's hear from Karoline first.
The president met with all of these European leaders at the White House 48 hours after sitting down with President Putin on American soil. In fact, there was so much progress in the readout that was given to these European leaders immediately following his meeting with President Putin that every single one of them got on a plane 48 hours later and flew to the United States of America. And if I could just read for all of you some of the statements from those European leaders yesterday, you had President Zelensky himself saying it was a very good conversation. It was really good. We spoke about very sensitive points. The Secretary General, Mark Rutte, it was the president, only because of the president, that this deadlock was broken, but with President Putin by starting a dialogue. So these leaders who this war is in their backyard are very grateful that the president took that call and that he was there to provide them with a readout of Russia's thinking on this, something that was not done by the previous administration at all.
They love contrasting to the Biden administration. I'll tell you this much. The reason it's so stupid, most of you, I'm sure, have never dealt with mediators, right? I would assume that very few of you have ever dealt with mediators. Whenever you have a mediation, the most productive way of reaching a resolution is you don't put them in contact with each other. You don't sit there saying, okay, fine, I want you guys to hash it out with each other. You don't give them an opportunity. You give each side an opportunity to sort of treat the mediator as he's someone who I can talk to with confidence, that if I tell them not to say something, they're not going to say it. If I tell him to, certain things I tell him to share, he'll share that. And, here's where you should understand. I'll explain where's my wiggle room. Each side will do this. And I know this. I'll tell you right now. I did a mediation. The last mediation I participated in, which reached a resolution, was roughly a year ago, I want to say. Roughly a year ago, where we actually reached a successful resolution on a case that had been lingering for several years. And the way the mediators conducted themselves is they called us both down there. And they need to have an authority figure, someone who actually has the power and legitimacy to speak on behalf of other entities and bind them. So this way you can actually, make genuine decisions, a genuine decision maker who's authorized to act on behalf of the entities. And what happens is, so it's like I came in there with my client. My adversary came in there with his client. We were defense, they're plaintiff. And the brokers basically talk about, the strength of, they come and they'll talk to each of us individually, bouncing back and forth. The mediators will bounce back and forth. So where are you coming from? And how do you, what are the basis of your claims? And then, how strong is that? And how much are you demanding? And how much do you need? And this is what they're saying to the other side. I have no doubt. And how strong is your case? What are weaknesses in your case? What are your concerns? What do you think is the likelihood that you'll be able to collect on that judgment if you get such a judgment? If he ends up filing for bankruptcy, what do you think the chances are that he will file bankruptcy? Not trying to necessarily push the person, just getting them to just sort of reassess your own position. And they come back to us and they start asking questions of me and of my clients. How strong is your case? How strong are your defenses? Do you think that how much money are you willing to offer up to make this go away? And this is where they're at, and they're talking numbers. Are these numbers that you could consider? And they don't give the final, but you don't. I'm not talking directly to the other side. You need to have a mediator in between who's sort of going back and forth and saying, I think I'm sensing some flexibility on this. I think I'm sensing some movement over there. And you go back and forth. That's what a good mediator is going to do. That's how you actually work them closer and closer to each other. What about if I can push them to agree to this, to give you more time? What if I can push them to saying that you'll give up certain territory? Is there any latitude that you'll give up? That you don't get them on the phone with each other. It's like what are you, a child? This guy's a reporter for the New York Times. He's like, why wouldn't he put them on the phone together so they could talk about No, you don't do that. Now, at a certain point, you need to have them in a room together so this way they can start, hopefully, working in a direction, perhaps face to face, and then you might separate them. and then go back and forth between each of them. But that way they start getting a feel for each other. At a certain point, they may say, hey, I'd rather talk to them directly because I feel as if that would be more productive. Yeah, that's what a good mediator does. And Trump seems like someone who's actually really good at this. I mean, I don't know, 6 conflicts in 7 months. That's not bad. That's not bad. 5 conflicts. That's not bad. But no, these newspapers. Why would he do that? The only reason to think that he should have had them on the phone. The only person, and the reason why Karoline is correct when she says only someone from the New York Times would ask that is because what are you assuming in your question? You're assuming in your question that I cannot trust you as a mediator, that you're telling me what actually happened there. There's an element of distrust that's baked into this sickeningly stupid question from Sean McReish. Let's look at this again.
Just to get everybody on the same page, why wouldn't Trump just take the call from Putin while the other leaders were in the room?
To get them on the same page, in other words, because the EU leaders have no reason to trust that what Trump tells them Putin says is actually true, when they have every reason, considering the fact that he gains nothing by lying to them. All he's looking to do is to try and actually reach a deal here. He gains absolutely nothing. The only one who'd be so sick and demented in the brain is someone from legacy media like the New York Times, like a Sean McReish, who's sitting there saying like, well, I don't know. How can I don't trust that Trump is telling us the truth. Why would the EU leaders trust him? That would be crazy to trust him. No, because they're not jackasses like you who are so on tilt against him that you assume that every word that comes out of his mouth is filled with fiction. When most people who have actually dealt with him face to face realize that that's just not at all the case. You have it so warped in your brain that you assume that whatever he's telling you is something that you cannot trust. But people who actually deal with him have had the exact opposite experience. So maybe we should deal with people who actually, understand that he is someone who, when he's brokering a deal, is a very reliable individual. Stupid jackass. So I'm glad she called him out on that, because that was just such a ridiculous question. I got one more clip here on this before we move on to the next thing. Imagine it's the Muppet Show. This is Willy Wonka. I don't remember who we're even talking about. The Muppet Show. Make this rant a clip. It's great. Thank you. There's a pretty good rant about Obama. If you get me started talking about Obama, it's really the rant. The flows. The force flows. It's not a cult, but if it was, it's led by Riquetta. By all means. I defer to him all the time. The rise of centralized news media, exemplified by Hearst newspapers, eroded their credibility, leading to the Spanish-American War. Today, Sinclair news agencies like AP and Reuters continue. It's probably true. It probably is centralized news. That's probably true. What he's saying is it's not just several decades. This goes back well over a century, ever since newspapers became, controlled by these mega corporations. And as exemplified by Hearst. Could be. Makes sense. I think that's a pretty good take. I don't think any president in history saw 5 conflicts worldwide in 7 months, except for President Trump. Yep. I don't think anyone solved 3 conflicts worldwide. That's like a record that's never going to be broken. Great point, Lynn. Purpose was to deflect and defend. Trust me, your deflection has been working like this, because every time every time I'm getting ready to read one of your super chats, I'm like, okay, I don't know where I'm going. I'm not sure where we're going. I appreciate it. I'm just not sure. You're the king of deflection. Well done. All right, so this is the last clip I wanted to share with you.
Thanks, Karoline. Since the president often says that this war would not have started if he were in office, and Putin confirmed that.
It's true. Do you accept that as true? The European leaders do.
Well,
and President Putin himself said that, by the way.
He did say that. The question I have, though, is what is the president going
I just want you to look at the face. Look at the put him there. The woman, the dark-haired woman next to her. I like how they got them. It's easy to identify. You got brunette, blondie, and redhead there sitting all as a trio. So the brunette woman there, look at the disdain and disgust on her face. You could see the sneer of the lip there. and the terse little Jen Psaki wannabe on the other side there with the little Raggedy Ann kind of do. Yeah, and so look at the disgust. They're so bitter. They're so bitter. God, imagine having to live with these people. These people go home and have spouses who actually, I guess some. Imagine being a cat having to live with these women. Imagine their poor cats. Oh my gosh, she's grumpy again today. When is this going to end? They're probably like checking her calendar.
This war would not have started if he were in office, and Putin confirmed that.
It's true. Do you accept that as true? The European leaders do.
Well,
and President Putin himself said that, by the way.
He did say that. The question I have, though, is what is the president going to do to ensure that these security guarantees last beyond him into the time when he is no longer president? And
that is such another stupid question. No one can ensure what's going to happen 4 years from now. What can we do to ensure this? Okay.
Does that have to involve Congress at all?
Well, he understands the need for that, which he spoke to yesterday. And what's he going to do? It's why he's engaging in so many talks and so many conversations with both sides of this war with our European allies. It's why on the way home from Anchorage, Alaska, very late at night, when I know many of you on the press plane were sleeping and many staff were sleeping, the president himself was still awake at 2 o'clock in the morning talking to European leaders and NATO about how we can ensure a lasting peace and bring this conflict to an end. He has expended an incredible amount of time, energy, and effort into bringing this war to an end, and he remains determined to do that.
Also, can I ask you about?
All right. Okay. So that's what we got on that thread. I just wanted to I enjoy watching the news stew, the media stew, and she did a great job of breaking down exactly just how terribly angry they are today. They're not happy. They're not happy people. Anyhow, I'm hesitant to share this next thing with you because I know what I'm going to be getting from you. There's going to be all these different complaints of like snooze, wake me up when something happens, wake me up when something happens. And the cynicism just gets ratcheted up. And it's almost like you get mad at me. It's like that I did something, like I'm the one who failed to indict these people. I'm just letting you know that things seem to be marching in a particular direction. They seem to be marching in a particular direction. And I'm talking now about Russiagate and everything Democrats. Ed Martin tells Matt Gaetz that justice is coming for Russiagate, the stolen election, for J6, all of it. We never seen anything like it. J6 committee with Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff weaponize their power to destroy innocent Americans. They must pay dearly. Now, the reason this is relevant is because he's in a position to actually do something. He's in a position to actually, charge people. Now, I always say I'm not crazy about the idea of charging people in D.C., and that's where he's situated. But he's in a position to actually do something, and he presents himself certainly more forcefully than Pam Bondi ever does.
Are you confident with what you're able to get access to and assess that you're going to be able to very thoroughly make your prosecutorial judgments?
Well, look, I've been involved with our mutual friend Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, and she has gone, and I hope people have tracked what I call the birthday of the Russia hoax, which was revealed by Tulsi. That it actually was born on Friday, December 9th, 2016, and it was done by the Obama White House in a special meeting, aided by the Washington Post. This is in the record. This is indisputable. This is not like me and you debating. And what we go forward from there, and you say that was the Russia hoax that was used to almost cripple the Trump administration by design. Then you go forward to 2020, and you say, what happened on January 6th and afterwards? And to your point, Matt, what they did with this select committee was they weaponized the power of Congress. They were aided by the media, and they were often aided by the Article III courts and the prosecutors. And they took the hoax and they pounded out a message. And frankly, they brainwashed 40% of the country, 50% of the country. There's still people are still sick with it because they were lied. So what is our goal? One is to hold people that do things that are destructive and against the law accountable. I want to do that. We're going to do that. I promise you. But we're also trying.
Look, if he goes after Liz Cheney and the J6 committee, which I think that will have to be in D.C., I don't see how, if he goes after the J6 committee, the only benefit that will likely come out of it, the only benefit and the reason to charge them, even though I think they will be found not guilty because the DC jury is not going to indict any of those corrupt people, no matter how corrupt they, you could show evidence that they literally fabricated video. You could show video evidence of Nancy Pelosi herself hiding pipe bombs by the DNC, fake pipe bombs. If you had video like that and showed that to a DC jury and said, this is part of her selling the hoax, she'd be sitting there bending over and like picking up her teeth when they fall out. If you had video like that, they would find her not guilty because that's just how bad DC is. Okay? That's how bad they are. That's how bad that jury would be. Worst place on the planet to actually try and get a conviction is the very jurisdiction which almost certainly would have exclusive domain on that particular issue. However, the reason to go forward with it is purely to test the power of the blanket pardons that Biden issued. Because I maintain, as a matter of law, they do not hold any water at all. And the J6 committee was specifically pardoned, a blanket pardon for all of their activities related to their conduct on the J6 Select Committee. And I don't think that such a thing, I don't think any president is empowered to give a blanket pardon. I've said several times before, and I'll probably say several more times, they are able to pardon any crime they like, but they have to know what crime they're pardoning, not just saying any wrongs you've done. No, they have to know what crimes they're pardoning. They have to know what wrongs you've done. Otherwise, that would not be pardoning. That would be immunizing. That's a whole different thing. That's a form of immunity that you're giving them. That no matter what you do here, I'm immunizing you. And there's no immunity power that was ever gifted to the president. They have a pardon power. You did this. Now it's true. Immunity covers forward-going things as well. But that immunity is a broader thing. Pardon is you pardon this particular sin, and he has the power to pardon any sin, no matter how grave and egregious it is. He can pardon war crimes. He can pardon someone who's the most terrible human being on earth and has harmed millions of people. He has that power, but he has to know what he's pardoning. So I don't think that when you say all of the activities related to J6 and you have no idea what they did, I don't think that carries any water. I don't think it's a pardon. It's only effective in the sense that prosecutors see the pardon, assume it's valid, assume it restricts them from prosecuting, and just don't prosecute. But if they would just say, I don't buy it, and prosecute, then at that point, the person who's pardoned would waive the pardon in front of the court. And then the court would have to decide, is this a valid pardon or not? And it's only at that point in time that we'll start to learn whether or not these blanket pardons are actually legally valid. And I think it's an important thing for us to know. It's an important thing for Trump to know. Because when Trump leaves office, he should full well expect that he and his children are going to be charged the next time a Democrat comes into power. That if the 2028 election is not won by J.D. Vance, who I assume right now for now we assume will be the next nominee, but it's won by some wacko-headed Democrat, that he and his offspring will likely be charged, as well as his friends, his family, anyone who's ever been associated with, and he should be giving them blanket pardons. Now, wouldn't you rather find out whether those blanket pardons are actually legally valid when it's your enemies who are relying on them rather than your friends and family? So to me, it makes the utmost sense for him to actually have them get tested. And if they do get tested and a court says, no, that works, a court disagrees with my legal philosophy. My legal philosophy is it should not work. If I was sitting there on the Supreme Court and they threw this up to me, I'd be like, no, He doesn't have that power. He doesn't have the authority. Constitution doesn't give him that broad power. That's what my determined assessment would be as a matter of law if it was given to me. But I'm not the one who's ultimately making the call on this. It's very unlikely I'll be sitting on the Supreme Court when this issue comes up, if and when this issue ultimately comes up. Chances are, there's a chance, but it's very, very small that I'll be sitting on the Supreme Court. And even if I am sitting there, I got 8 other yokels I'm dealing with. So who knows how they're going to feel about it. But the point that I'm making is that's why I want Ed Martin to move forward on this, so that we actually start learning whether or not this is a thing. And it helps Trump to actually have that information in his pocket, so he knows. So if and when, so at the end of his term, he can issue pardons appropriately.
Trying to get to the truth. And so when you have a Tulsi Gabbard who can say, here was some of the truth, I can tell you, we've been going through the records, emails of this Department of Justice from the Biden era, and we're seeing who was doing what. I'll give you a quick example. They put everybody on January 6th that was arrested, minus maybe 100, onto the terrorism watch list. And when you said, wait a second, you're on the terrorism watch list, why? You're supposed to be a terrorist or a member of a terrorist group or another criteria. The other criteria was, we just wanted to put you on. And when you were pardoned by Donald Trump, all 1,500 plus went off the terrorism watch list.
Isn't that crazy? I didn't even realize that the J6 defendants were all put on a terrorist watch list. Like, why? So these grandmas walking through the Capitol, they're on a terrorist watch list every time they go flying somewhere. It's like they got to deal with the red flags that come up. Why are they on a terrorist watch list? That's insanity.
Well, that just proves it wasn't a terrorism watch list. It's a list to punish you when you go to the airport, and that's what they did. We have numbers that the IRS were auditing J6 targets in a higher percentage than other groups. This is all the use of government against the people. And I'll just finish with this, Matt. You've seen this, you know this, you've been aware of it, but we've never seen what happened in the Biden administration, the use of government against the American people. We've never seen it in our history. And so am I confident we're going to get to the bottom of it? Yes, because I got to get up in the morning early and work hard all day. But it is a fight. And it is a fight because people have deleted, they've disappeared, they've moved on. They've tried to say, don't talk about it, get on with it. President Trump has said, we're going to get to the bottom of it. I'm also involved in the 2020 election and the 2016 election to get to the bottom of what happened. We're going to have grand juries. We're going to pull people in. And the one thing I'll say over and over again, Matt, it won't surprise you, it's the same people that were at the Russia hoax birthday party. It's the same people overlapping over and over again. And what Rudy Giuliani said once, and he knows better than anybody in our American history, when you put these people together and they're always working together, that's called an enterprise. That's called a criminal enterprise.
Yep, it is criminal enterprise.
Territory where everybody's held accountable for the whole of it, and that's what we're seeing.
That's what he's referring to there by criminal enterprise, in case you weren't getting the intimation he was making, was that that's a justification for RICO charges. And if you're bringing RICO charges, then you can find ways to get your case out of DC into a jurisdiction where there's actually a possibility of obtaining a conviction. So I think that that's actually potentially significant if, in fact, they can have it declared part of a criminal enterprise. Now, again, Ed Martin is working out of DC, but he's going after Leticia James also, who's in New York. So I think that he has his hands everywhere. I think he has his hands everywhere.
Do we have deep state?
But while we're on this topic, as far as the going after the deep state, let's hear more from Tulsi Gabbard, who's quickly rising in MAGA ranks. As I think she's risen into top 5 most popular in the MAGA ranks right now.
Do we have deep state actors that are trying?
I wonder if you guys agree with me. Do you think she's top 5? She's like considered top 5 MAGA right now. She's got to be, right? She's really up there. Let me see. Hold on a second. Oh, I forgot to call this out. God bless you, Lynn F. Lynn F, who hit me right here. Look at this. Look at this. $50 rant from Lynn F. God bless you. Thank you so much. Very, very thoughtful. Thank you kindly. Yes, I was putting a poll up, and I'm just in. If you had to rank her, I'll ask in Rumble. I'll ask the chat there in Rumble. Would you put her top 5? Yes or no? You can put yes or no in the. Just drop a yes or no in the comments. But is Tulsi top 5 most popular among MAGA? There you go. Very simple poll.
Trying to influence our presidential elections. Is that what we're concluding here?
Yes, we have people within the intelligence community. Again, when you look at this example of who President Obama charged with this task, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey at the highest levels, but also those who worked as careerists within the intelligence community who did not object to their manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence and actually helped them get there, all moving towards their partisan interests, that they were not happy with the outcome of this election, and they were willing to do whatever it took in order to try to undermine President Trump's administration during his first term in office. These are bad actors that have to be rooted out. Our national security depends on it. The ability for the American people's trust to be earned back depends on exposing the bad actors and holding them accountable. And that's what President Trump is determined to do.
And I'm a little confused because I don't even understand. Yesterday, when Jim was going to come on here, one of the topics that I was going to cover with him that I ended up not covering was that they had taken off 37 people who had been listed as being took away their security clearance from 37 people who were amongst these bad actors. And I'm like, they're taking away their security clearance now? Who has security clearance? Any of you who understand how security clearance works, I don't even understand this. I would think that January 20th, you take away security clearance from all the top officials from Biden and Obama. Like, why would you? I guess if they're in the military and they're still there, you're not going to take their security clearance away. But all the intelligence people, like the top people, that's like, why would you wait until you find evidence to strip them of their clearance? I don't even understand it. It's very mystifying to me. Very, very mystifying. I want to start moving on into covering, and I'm going to really cover these two stories together because I look at them. They are different, but there's enough overlap conceptually in Trump's cleaning up of DC and the attack on sanctuary cities, because there's just a lot of news on both. And I'm going to end up probably covering these two stories almost as if they're one. I'm going to try and keep them somewhat segued from each other, but there's going to be a lot of bleed over. So, because Stephen Miller was in the news a lot on this, talking about how they're tired of dealing with these mayors who are looking out for illegal aliens in sanctuary cities. And I understand that Trump's effort to clean up DC is not specifically targeting the illegal alien problem specifically in that city, but more of a fighting crime type of thing. But there's certainly an overlap there because there's a concern that the illegal aliens are a cause of that crime.
Let me just break down for your audience, Sean, how severe the crime committed by these sanctuary cities is. So you'll have a situation where local police in Boston will arrest an illegal alien who's a child predator.
So police in Boston will arrest an illegal alien who's a child predator.
And ICE will then send what's called a detainer request or a hold request. And we'll say, don't release this person, hand them over to ICE, and we'll remove this child predator from our community.
And ICE says, hey, we want to deport them. So don't let go of them. We're sending people there now.
Instead, these sanctuary mayors will order the police department to ignore the federal request to set them free out of the jail, out of the prison, and they will go back into the community, and then they will reoffend. They will hurt another little girl. They will hurt another little boy. And then ICE has to spend weeks scouring the community to find this public safety threat. What they're doing, Sean, is evil, and President Trump will see that they are held to account for their crimes.
These are the people we need to start throwing in jail. I mean, basically, so they're freeing criminals so that they don't get deported by ICE, and that way, and to heck with the next victim. To hell with the next victim. It's really sickening. It's really sickening. They think that this is a winning platform. They think this is something Americans want. So we had there were pro-crime protesters in DC.
For too long, 99% of this city has been terrorized by 1% of this city. And the voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots. They have no connections to the city. They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. They're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And
this is a big deal.
Because me, Pete, and the vice president.
This is a really big deal. The point he's making is that they import these protesters for the purposes of just screaming about Trump. And these protesters have no skin in the game. They're not the ones dealing with this crime. They're not the ones who actually have to face these thugs day after day and sitting there worrying about the safety of their family, their children, safety of their property. No. They just get imported, start screaming, "Oh, Trump is evil, Trump is evil, Trump is," and but they don't live in DC. So they're screaming against what Trump is doing in D.C., that he's so wrong for what he's doing in D.C., and they're not the ones who have to suffer when Trump isn't taking action in D.C. It's really twisted.
We're all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital. And let's just also address another thing. All these demonstrators that you've seen out here in recent days, all of these elderly white hippies, they're not part of the city and never have been. And by the way, most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home.
Ignore the stupid white
They're
hippies.
all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
Well done. Well said. We also had Vance weighing in.
Of what? The DC has a terrible crime problem? You just got to look around. Obviously, DC has a terrible crime problem. The Department of Justice statistics back it up. The FBI statistics back it up. Just talk to a resident of this city, this beautiful, great American city. Don't they deserve... we talk about human rights. We hear these people outside screaming, "Free DC." Let's free DC from lawlessness. Let's free Washington, D.C. from one of the highest murder rates in the entire world. Let's free Washington, D.C. so that young families can walk around and feel safe and secure. That's what we're trying to free D.C. from. And as Stephen said, it's kind of bizarre that we have a bunch of old, primarily white people who are out there protesting the policies that keep people safe when they've never felt danger in their entire lives.
Yeah, and that's the point. That's exactly the point. They don't have to deal with the repercussions of Trump not taking action. They just come from their cozy homes. One more from Vance here.
Polls show that a majority of DC residents don't support the Guard here. So what's your message to the majority of DC residents?
I'm highly skeptical that a majority of DC residents don't want their city to have better public safety and more reasonable safety standards within Washington, D.C. I don't know what poll you're talking about. Maybe the same polls that said Kamala Harris will win the popular vote by 10 points.
Polls show that a majority of DC residents.
Oh, zing! Zing! Maybe it's the same polls that showed Kamala Harris will win the popular vote by 10 points. Oh, so good. I wish the audio was a little clearer there. But yeah. Yeah. Is this? So they just mentioned the poll. So inner city DC residents plead for federal help. Let Trump take over. In Washington, DC, the voices of the people are cutting through the noise. Not politicians, but residents living in daily fear. On the streets of the inner city, reporter Kara Castronuova heard a message loud and clear. President Trump's call for federal police help is long overdue. Let's hear from them directly.
Here in the heart of Washington, D.C., I'm hitting the streets to talk directly to the people who actually live here, the ones who deal with the city's crime and chaos every single day. Do you feel like President Trump's initiative to send in more police could be helpful for D.C. residents that don't live in safe areas?
Yes, I do. And I'm very appreciative of what Trump is doing. And I think everything that he's doing is helping D.C. as well as America.
At this point in my life, I think I'd rather move to another state.
How come?
Well, I've been shot 4 times, attacked so many times. I'm tired of it.
You were shot 4 times?
Shot 4 times in my life. Yeah.
Shot 4 times.
Four separate times.
Since I moved to D.C.
Since you moved to D.C., you were shot 4 times.
Yeah.
Residents expressed frustration with wealthy liberals, progressive protesters, and Democrat politicians that continue to say that Washington, D.C. is safe.
They don't have to deal with the crime in the other areas. They have better stores, better protection, police protection. This area right here, around here by Hecker Jamal, I wouldn't want my grandchildren to walk around here. They live in this area, not far.
So what's your message to President Trump if he sees this?
I love you and keep up the good work. And thank you for all of what you're doing. God bless you.
I just want the police to do what they can for our country, for our city of DC. So none of us young people don't have to live out the rest of our lives robbing and killing or God knows what, or end up in jail, dead, or drunk, or becoming a drunk at the liquor store or loitering.
The youth in DC need more governing. They need more policing, more programs. Put programs back in place.
Y'all keep talking about the youth. Where they going at? They don't got no rec centers. They don't got no playgrounds. They don't got nothing. They don't even got boxing teams no more. Or football.
I know
teams.
they got boxing is the answer. I used to be a boxer. I was a 2-time Golden Gloves champion. They don't have a boxing gym here. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm saying they got them, but it's not like it was when we was coming up.
Wait, when they had mentors.
Yeah, they don't have nothing out here for youth. Period.
I did recently hear about the woman being thrown in the trash can down the street, like a few months ago, and that was very concerning, especially because her age. She was a little bit older.
I got God. I got Jesus. He's my protector.
Do you think women are safe, single women?
Yes, if they have Jesus, that's all they need. Jesus is the way.
So there you
get
go.
A lot of people off the streets. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. There's a homeless problem. Yeah.
We have to be protected. Other countries are protected. Why we can't be protected? And the cities, people has gone crazy. Just let a man take over. Just let Trump take over.
Okay,
yes.
So you're for federalizing DC because you think that it will help the people here be more safe?
Yes, 100%.
Reporting for Lindell TV in Washington, D.C., I'm
There you
Kara
go.
Castronova.
There you go. Kara Castronova. I never heard of her, but that's the first time I've seen a report. But that was helpful as far as giving us a little flavor. A little flavor of how things are going in DC. I have more, but I think it's going to start feeling repetitive. Just so you know that I have. There's so many people in DC, the actual residents.
What's up, y'all?
who are all
walking to
saying
work this morning. I'm
stuff like
downtown,
this.
walking from the Union Station to my job, Department of Justice, and I see something beautiful this morning, y'all. Look behind me. See the National Guards? It's a black dude. A couple of National Guards trucks. There's another one back there. Both brothers, man. National Guards. Stand up for the country. You know what I mean? In D.C.
I mean, people actually live
Urban
there.
enclaves protected by gates and freaking probably armed security. You are literally advocating for President Trump to not be able to use the home rule. He is constitutionally authorized to do that because he is the Article 2. He is the executive of the executive branch. You fucking idiots! And now DC is suing him for using the home rule. You are literally defending crime. You are defending homeless people after everything I walk around and see. Bro, okay, grocery store. Needed laundry detergent. I can't just walk up and get laundry detergent anymore. You know why? Because it's locked behind a damn glass case. I got to push a button that calls an attendant that's busy with 5 or 6 other people who did the same thing in different parts of the store. And I have to wait for the poor attendant to come over 10, 15 freaking minutes when I could have been in and out of the store. I just had one thing to get. But nope, because people keep stealing shit, they had to start locking it behind glass cases. We did not have this before Joe Biden. Dead ass. This was not a thing before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We did not. I have never, ever, and I've lived in Colorado for a while. I don't know how it is in your city, but I can promise you, we never saw this kind of shit before. Never. Family Dollar, Walgreens, King Super, Kroger, whatever. Target, they locking stuff up too. Walmart locks stuff up too.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic. She's got another 3 minutes of ranting there, but yeah, ranting is my deal. I can't let someone else take over on that. So, yeah. Oh, so anyway, so that's what's been going on in DC. That's how people are actually feeling about the effectiveness of it. I saw a poll. I don't know if I have it here. I don't know if I have this. Oh, this got pushed back. I saw something from, was this? This isn't it. This is a different thing. All right. I'm not seeing it now. I'm not seeing it now. We're gonna have to come back to that. We're gonna have to come back to that. But I just had a lot of tabs. Oh, this over here. Okay. I was talking earlier about how Ed Martin has the power to get things done. And I mentioned, I'm glad I found this. I mentioned how he's part of the team that's going after Tulsi. What I was looking for that I did not find was something that was showing how statistically, like in every category, crime in DC is way down. I don't see it. I don't see that tab here. So I apologize for that. But yeah, apparently it's been successful so far. The early results of Trump taking over DC has shown significant improvement in the numbers, but I don't have the numbers here with me. I apologize. I saw them and I'm not sure where that tab is right now. So we're gonna have to move on to the next topic, and that is, I mentioned how Ed Martin was involved in Leticia James. Let me share this with you. This is Abby Law, her counsel, who's very, very upset. Leticia James' counsel, very, very upset. Ed Martin stopped by Leticia James' house the other day, I think in New York, and was looking at her property because, in case you're unaware, Leticia James from New York, she's got these residences in Virginia and New York, which she's saying both are hers, and that she committed allegedly all sorts of mortgage fraud, which is being looked into, and he visited. This did not make her happy. It did not make her counsel happy. Listen to him gripe and moan.
A photo op outside the home of a top Trump rival is raising eyebrows tonight. CNN has exclusive new video showing DOJ prosecutor Ed Martin posing for photos outside the Brooklyn home of New
It doesn't look like he's posing there at
York Attorney General Leticia James, whom Martin is actively investigating for mortgage fraud, among
Who the hell is he posing for, jackass?
other things. James
This is why you're fake news. It's like this is exactly Let's Go Brandon. He's not posing for a photo op.
denies any wrongdoing in that matter, but in this matter, that's Martin himself in the tan trench coat, joined by a DOJ colleague and a photographer from the New York Post.
Is there?
Now, this is so
Oh,
unusual.
is that what that is? That's the photographer? Oh, okay. I would withdraw.
It reportedly even caught top Trump officials off guard. The New York Times reports that Attorney General Pam Bondi and her top deputy, Todd Blanche, let Martin know that his actions were not helpful. But Martin defended the move over the weekend.
I wanted to lay eyes on it. I think most people, if you're prosecuting something, you're careful. I didn't go there and announce it. Some woman came storming up and shooting video and talking to me, but I wanted to see the property.
Oh, so she's saying that's a big difference to me. If he brought a photographer from the New York Post, that would bother me, because that does seem like it's all about appearances rather than actually doing something. There was a viral clip of Ed Martin at Leticia James' place. Let me see if I can pull that for you. There's a confrontation between the two of them, where one of the residents there saw him standing outside and looking at the place, and was all triggered by the fact that he was there. Let me see if I can pull that clip. I wasn't planning on sharing this with you, but in order to get better context to this thing, let me see if I can find it in 2 seconds or not. Yeah, here it is. This is the clip that they're talking about. I don't know if this is a reporter from the New York Post who filmed this. I'm not sure who filmed this, but this is the moment that everyone had seen of Ed Martin at Leticia James' place.
It's not that. Is there a back alley? I'm just sure there's like the Pratt building. Is there
You
a
want
back?
me to tell you how to access my...
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking. Yeah, I'm interested. Because usually the houses like this.
Tell me why you're here.
We're interested in the houses.
You're not interested in the houses. We know who lives here.
Is this like Second Empire?
It's just a track house. That's what all of these things
I know,
are.
but when was it built, do you think?
They're built before 1899.
Oh, so, okay.
Why are you being so disingenuous about what you're here for? You're not here about the houses. You're here because of who lives here. It's my neighborhood. It's my block. I have a right to know what you guys look like. You're happy to.
You actually don't have a right to know why they're there.
Capacity.
You have no legal right to know why they're there.
That's not true. Why won't you be
No, he is happy.
Well, why won't you be honest with me about what you're doing? You are acting suspicious on my block in front of my neighbor's home, and you're not telling me what you're doing. That's not true.
Interesting house.
This is true.
So, thank you.
It's not. It's just like every other track house on this block that was built.
By the way, Uzeli, while you're here, just to pause, I'll mention to you and everyone else here that in my locals, goodlogic.locals.com, I have a fantasy football league. I saw you commented on a thread there. I wasn't sure if you were interested in joining up, but we have a couple of spots left. Not everyone there is checked in. I sort of created a live chat on that thread. So I wasn't sure if you were one who was looking to sign up or not, but if you are, I'm going to urge you to make sure you sign up for it relatively soon. But you're right, both can be true.
Right, they're beautiful, beautiful neighborhood.
Thank you.
I mean, do you guys call this a stoop?
What do you think?
I don't know. Is this a stoop? We didn't have stoops where I was growing up. Is this a stoop?
I want to know what you're doing.
I don't know what the nature of, I don't know why they're bothering engaging her. I don't understand anything about what I'm seeing in this video. This is why I didn't show this video earlier, because I didn't see the point to it, because I don't know why I don't know what the real point of Ed Martin being there is.
Very good.
And I don't understand, I don't take anything from this video. I don't know what I'm supposed to get from this video. So, but that was the video that everyone thought was a massive deal. And that's what he was talking about with Maria Bartiromo over here.
My source tonight is Leticia James's attorney, Abby Lowell, who says that these investigations of her are politically motivated. Abby, first out
of the gate, I am so sorry for the excruciating experiences you must have had as a child when your parents decide to be cruelly name you Abby.
You hear Ed Martin there with his explanation that he wanted to see the.
How is Abby? I don't understand how does that happen? Someone's got to know. Have you ever met a dude named Abby before? I never even heard of such a thing.
Property. What is your reaction to that?
Isn't Abby short for Abigail? He's about to rant. He's very, very triggered by this whole thing. Yeah, Abby's short for Abigail. Abner? Oh, that makes sense. You're smart, Red Delta. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's true. I'd forgotten about Abby Hoffman. Good job. Well done. I don't think it's from Abraham. I don't think that's right. That's Abe.
Brianna, you know, it's so easy to make fun of the things Ed Martin does and says. I've seen.
It's so easy to make fun of what your client has done, where she basically went after Trump and she's being hoisted on her own petard.
Headlines likening him in his trench coat to being Inspector Gadget. Somebody has said that he's making the Keystone Cops look good.
This is why you need to be on Blue Sky. So if you want to feel as if your humor is actually at a high level, you go into Blue Sky, where you can have hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who might peruse your comedic gold, like Inspector Gadget.
But the point is, because it is so easy, people forget how serious this is. And it's not a funny matter at all.
He's so angry.
40, 50, 80 years ago, each attorney general has spoken to the power of an individual prosecutor to affect lives of people, not because of what they've done.
The hypocrisy of what this jackass is saying here. We all know what Leticia James did. We all know how she was like, I'm going to go get him. She's giggling about how she's going to go get Trump. And you're sitting here on your high horse complaining about Ed Martin going after Leticia James. You complete clown.
But who they are or what they've represented. And this is not a theoretical problem.
No,
it's not
a theoretical problem. We saw it happen with Leticia James. We saw it happen with how am I drawing a blank on the dude's name? The criminal prosecutions in New York. I don't even know why. We saw it with Jack Smith. So Fannie Willis, we saw it all over the place. You're sitting here whining and bellyaching. I can't believe he went down there.
Just at the level of Washington. When we allow prosecutors to do what they do, not because of the conduct, but because they are carrying out the president's wishes for revenge against, for example,
I'm a brag. I don't know how that, I got a mental block on that.
Attorney General James, who brought a lawsuit against Mr. Trump and his businesses and got a multi-$100 million verdict.
That's on the verge of being turned over. I don't know why the First Department is taking so long on that.
It can creep down to the point where Democrats then do it against Republicans, Republicans against Democrats, and soon even on everyday justice. And people rely on police and prosecutors and courts. We basically destroy the rule of law. So one brick at a time, you can bring down a building.
The audacity. So since we did it to him, no one should do it to us. But you did it to him corruptly, And she actually really did the things that she was complaining of.
Ed Martin made another highly unusual move. He sent you a letter suggesting that Attorney General James should resign as an act of good faith. How are you responding to that?
Yet again, as I said, everything that Ed Martin does seems to create a new page in the not to how you do it book of being a responsible, ethical, and a person who's supposed to obey the law. So think about this. He was appointed on August 8th. 4 days later, he sent his first communication to me as lawyer for Attorney General James. You would imagine that in the world we're supposed to live in, somebody might ask for the facts, how it applies to the law, some information that might help the investigation. He certainly hadn't done much in 4 days.
How do you know that? How do you know that? All that sounds as if it would take like a 15-minute briefing. How do you know he didn't do that in 4 days? That's the stupidest thing. Why? Why? How long conversation is that? What are the facts? What's the law? What's the law against us? If you're doing it slowly, it takes an hour. It's a memo of law. I'm sure they had memos of law there for him to peruse. If he's a slow reader, it shouldn't take him more than 25 minutes. You could probably have watched. He probably would know enough about it from watching Robert Gouveia read through it and do it in double speed and finish the whole thing in 14 minutes. And know the facts and the law. It's really not that hard.
So 4 days in, does he ask for facts or the law?
No, he doesn't have to ask for facts and the law because 3.5 days earlier, he already had it.
Twice in his letter, he asked for the Attorney General to resign. If people did not have better evidence that this is not about what she did, but it's about what President Trump has ordered the Justice Department to do.
Yes, you're not denying what she did.
Nothing better than his letter that asked for or demanded those two things. It just, again, is...
No one is above the law. No one. No one is above the law.
I don't have to say much because he says it himself. And
when she's in opening statements of her trial, that's what I really want the prosecutor's opening line to be to the jury. No one is above the law. No one. Preferably with clips of her saying it.
every time he does something, he's only proving the point. By the way, one piece too. Remember that of his many titles, if you look at his letter, he seems to have 4 or 5 different ones. One of them is to be the director of this thing called the Weaponization Working Group. Everybody should read George Orwell's 1984 about doublespeak. It's not that he's there to prevent weaponization. He's actually there to administer weaponization. And that's an example of that too. A prosecutor doesn't ask somebody to resign. A prosecutor asks somebody to give them the facts and the law. You also may remember.
Why would he ask the defendant to give me the law? This doesn't even make any sense. This is the stupidest. What he's saying there's nothing accurate in what he's saying. He's not going to ask her for the facts because she's not going to tell him because she has the right to plead the fifth. So he wouldn't ask the facts, and you're not going to ask her for her perspective on the law. This is the dumbest thing in the world. This is something that only a CNN moron, a CNN viewing moron would think, oh yeah, why wouldn't you ask for the facts in the law? Because she's not going to tell you the facts because she could plead the fifth, and you don't care about her damn perspectives on the law.
Then on the day he was appointed, I think he was on Fox News to announce his appointment. And I think he likened his mission as a theoretical prosecutor to something he said was to hit the landing, to kind of hit the mark. Well, as I had to say in my letter
To stick
today,
the landing, I think, right?
the job of a prosecutor is not the same as being a gymnast. So I think people have to look at this, not because this is a tit for tat from the Republicans against Attorney General James, but it basically every day breeds a lot of disrespect for the whole process. And
the disrespect was bred when you brought four criminal prosecutions and a $400 million judgment against him for something where there was no victim. Everyone was saying there was no victim. When he gets the disregard and disrespect for justice is when a criminal judge in New York decides to say, pick any of these 3 reasons. You don't even have to agree on them. Then you're still able to convict, completely obviating every rule of law that you need to have unanimity as to what the cause, what he's been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt on. So yeah, I think that You're acting like a jackass here and pretending that this is something that the disrespect for the rule of law, when after they turned America into the banana republic, they turned into banana republic with our judicial system. They turned into banana republic by destroying our borders. They turned into a banana republic with respect to allowing our criminals to run amok and say we're not going to prosecute them. They turned into banana republic when they decide we're going to have homeless encampments, which are going to outnumber practically the number of houses we have in a city. That's when you turn into banana republic, jackass. What a doofus.
That then seeps down to everything that people rely on the courts, prosecutors, police to do.
I want to play what Martin said over the weekend about the investigations into James, but also about Senator Adam Schiff. Here it is.
We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts. And if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing. Because when you're a liar, you lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing.
Martin has also made clear that he wants to play out DOJ investigations in the court of public opinion. He said if they can be charged, we'll charge them. But if they can't be charged, we will name them, and we will name them. And in a culture that respects shame, they should be people that are ashamed. What is the effect of the full legal heft of the federal government taking that approach?
What do I think? Let me pause before he responds. Should a prosecutor be doing that? I'm very ambivalent about that, because that could be deemed to be like really an abuse of power. That one I'm not sure I agree with that, Martin, on.
If we're at the point at which federal or state, being in a Republican administration now, believe that their job is to try people in the court of public opinion, then we're basically turning the clock back to mob rule, aren't we? That's why we have laws, evidence.
You mean like where we don't prosecute people for crimes, and we're gonna prosecute the people, your enemies, right? Right? Mob rule.
Evidence rules, judges, juries. It is so.
I can't listen to this idiot anymore. I can't. Why is he singing an ad with a crooked witch's hat as a lamp? I don't know. I don't know, Kimmy. I don't know what the deal is. I can't explain it. All right. Let me see if I want to move over to California. I think I'm probably going to move to California next. There was one or two other stories I was thinking about. You don't care about Jake Tapper. I didn't really like this one either. All right. Let's talk about California. Let's get into California. First, the hypocrisy is thick with this one, considering what Leticia James has said about Trump while she was prosecuting him. It was asinine. It was asinine. It was unbelievable. Okay. Here we go. First, some good news. You remember how they had in Texas that whole walkout because the Democrats were afraid of having a vote? They wanted to strip us of a quorum in Texas so they couldn't get the redistricting map going on. And then they had to track them down, and they finally dragged them in there and had to give them hall passes we were covering yesterday before they could leave. Well, that situation has now been put to bed.
Breaking tonight, Texas Republican legislators have just won their fight over redistricting. Just moments ago, the state House vote is now final. The bill aims to provide 5 additional congressional seats for the GOP. Correspondent Garrett Tenney shows us what's happening from Austin, Texas tonight. Good evening, Garrett.
So there you go. There you go. There you go. The redistricting is done and official in Texas. Goodbye, Jasmine Crockett. Goodbye, Jasmine. Goodbye, Jasmine. I think I have to spit out Jasmine. Goodbye, Jasmine. Goodbye, Jasmine. Some of you will, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. I should have that on clip. I should totally have that. I use that enough. Let me see if I can give it for you. Good. I was doing Schindler's List. And a little Polish girl was screaming, "Goodbye, Jews!" Yeah. So Jasmine, her seat is imperiled. Her seat is in jeopardy. Poor Jasmine. Poor Jasmine. Now, as we're all aware, California has decided that since Texas is going to be doing their redistricting over there, which they're actually acting pursuant to law, that they're going to redistrict in California and try and get 5 seats back in California. Now, the difference is that California, first and foremost, is already redistricted. First difference is that in Texas, they had to redistrict by law. So once they're redistricting, obviously they're going to try and favor themselves. That's first and foremost. Second of all, California has done their redistricting already. And when they did the redistricting in 2022, which was very controversial, they gave themselves all these added seats. They already have more representation percentage-wise in the House than the votes that Kamala got in California. I think they have something like 82%, whereas she only got like 60% of the vote in California. So they already have more than they're supposed to have. And there's also no legal reason that they should be switching. The legal reason that affected Texas was a decision that came out of the Fifth Circuit, which said you cannot create a special jurisdiction for minorities if you're going to be combining 2 different minorities together in order to create that special district. So once that law came out, Texas had an obligation to redistrict. That's not so for California. But they've been talking about doing their redistricting, and they're ramping up the process right now in California to try and redistrict. This is a report which I just wanted to share with you for the purposes of showing you that they came out with the maps that they came out, but this was 4 days ago. So bear in mind that these maps have been updated and changed in the past 4 days.
Tonight, with the ongoing redistricting battle. Tonight, we're getting our first look at the proposed maps of California's redrawn congressional districts. Here's that newly released map. It is part of Governor Gavin Newsom's plan.
I don't know where they teach these anchors how to talk. Tonight, we're looking at California's newly redrawn, redistricted maps. Look at this thing. Look at this district up here. The northernmost district, like dipping all the way down. What the heck is this? What the heck is this? This little circle around over here district. This little, we're going to dip around over here. We got like our little, I don't know, heart valve going out over here. You got the little kidneys going. Who? It's so pathetic. So pathetic.
To deliver more Democrats to the U.S. House of Representatives. That's in direct response to efforts by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to redistrict in favor of Republicans. California has 52 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. That number is not changing.
That number is not changing.
Of these proposed maps target Republican Representative Kevin Kyle.
Can you ever imagine someone talking to you on the phone that way? It's like, hey, Karen, you want to get together for lunch today? That decision is something I have not yet made. They're so robotic. It's unbelievable.
Of Rockland, Doug LaMalfa of Richville in the northeast portion of the state, David Valadeo of Bakersfield.
All right, so we get the point. I don't really care much more about that. I just wanted you to see some of the cockamamie redistricting that they're looking to do. Here's Kevin Kiley, Republican from California, whose seat is now in jeopardy. He's going to be Jasmined, as his district has basically been moved around to try and strip him because he's a major thorn in Gavin Newsom's side and in the Democrat side.
If, in fact, it is a fair election,
and the truth gets out, then that poll that you just showed shows that overwhelmingly voters will stand by the decision that they have already made, and that we want to take this power away from politicians. Our voters have said politicians should not be drawing their own district lines.
Which makes sense that politicians, I'm going to make this a little louder. In case you couldn't hear him, he was saying that politicians are not supposed to be drawing their own district lines. Let me pull it out and make it louder. So this way, it's not going to affect everything.
This is an inherent conflict of interest. That's why we've moved on from this era of partisan gerrymandering. And I think gerrymandering is a bad thing, regardless of where it happens, whether it's a Democrat state or Republican state. And California voters have said that. They said this is not the way we want our representative government to work in California. So the idea that we now have this hyper-partisan attempt to move our state backwards, to blow up our congressional map in the middle of the decade. My district would be split various ways under this map, and that's true of many people throughout California. Voters would lose the ability to vote for the person that they've chosen to have represent them. I think it's a very bad thing, and I do think that the only way that Newsom's plan can work is if he manages to try to fool people in the way it's written on the ballot. You just saw the poll. Ordinarily, if you have a poll that shows that an initiative is opposed by 2/3 of voters, there's no point of even trying to bring it to the ballot. But they think that they can try to confuse people into voting for the exact opposite of what they said they want.
So Newsom is making the claim that these moves need to happen to balance out what's happening in Texas right now. What is your take?
He's a state governor who says it's my job to fix the federal government's voting power. Why? Why? Is that standing up for all Californians or just Democrats? Like, I don't understand that.
On his rallying cry, so to speak, around this effort.
Well, I think it fails the test of kindergarten logic. Two wrongs don't make a right. And he keeps saying we need to fight fire with fire. Well, when you fight fire with fire, the whole world burns. Just because there's something that we don't like going on in some other state, that doesn't mean that California voters should pay the price for it. It doesn't mean that Californians should be punished for it. It doesn't mean that our citizens should be deprived of fair congressional districts, should be deprived of the opportunity to vote for their representatives. So I am against gerrymandering in any way, shape, or form. That's why I've introduced a bill in the House saying that we shouldn't have this happening in any state in the country. My bill would say enough is enough. We're not going to have redistricting done in the middle of the decade. It would stop what's going on in California. It would apply to all 50 states and would allow us to actually get back to the issues that matter to the American people. And, you know, for my party, we actually just won control of the House in the last election using the map as it exists right now. We should be focusing on good governance, on the tax relief we're delivering to the American people, on border security. And I think, by the way, I've called on the Speaker to establish a bipartisan commission to assure that by the time that we do redistricting, when it's supposed to be done after the next census, that we've gotten rid of this this plague on our democracy of gerrymandering once and for all.
Well, it's a back and forth that's escalated incredibly quickly.
And I'm not a fan of gerrymandering either. I just want to be clear. I'm not a fan of it. The Supreme Court has basically said there's nothing we can do to stop it. That's essentially what they've said. So it's here to stay. He might have all sorts of dreams and aspirations of making it go away. It doesn't seem as if it's going to be going away anytime soon. My expectation is that we're going to have gerrymandering for the next several decades. I would be shocked if they find a way to get rid of it. Just because it's so... It's our peculiar institution. That's what it is. It's our peculiar institution. And I hate it. I think it's awful and it's evil. I just don't know how you would stop it. Like, how do you control for it? You're going to create federal law that would stop gerrymandering, or the courts would step in, or Congress would come in and say you can't gerrymander. Well, how? You have the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which is still out there, which calls for special districts in certain circumstances. It's a very, I think enough people have looked at this and said, this is just a problem. It's almost like it's like this unsolvable problem that how do you stop it from happening given the way our Constitution is framed meaning that when it comes to elections, that each state has their own powers as to how they run their elections. And certainly with respect to dividing up their districts, I don't want the federal government deciding how the districts are going to be apportioned. I don't think that would be that would make for a better situation. Whichever political party was in control would likely find some sort of method which would favor them. It's just, and then how would you enforce it? And there would start more litigation and more legal fights, and then it's going to come down to some partisan judge as to whether or not this map is good, this map is no good. I think that this is just the nature of the beast. This is just a plague that I think is sort of almost built into the flaw. This is almost like a kink in the system that I don't see how it gets ironed out. And that's why, Kevin Kiley can have aspirations that he's going to do away with gerrymandering before 2030. Good luck to you, because I don't see how he's going to do it. I just don't see it. So, but onwards with respect to California's redistricting efforts. So we have here Alexandra what's her name? Alexandra Macedo. Gavin Newsom is trying to rig California redistricting because there's all sorts of rules in California as to who's supposed to be doing redrawing the maps. They've voted to have maps that are created by an independent body. That independent body is filled with Democrats. So they've already tried redistricting in their favor. This is why I'm less concerned for Kevin Kiley, only because, or for the number of seats that California can generate, because I am very confident they've done everything they possibly can to try and make their districts as Democrat friendly as possible. So they might be able to specifically target Kevin Kiley's district to make sure that all of a sudden he has a massive infusion of vote blue no matter who people in his district. It's very possible that they're going to try and screw him over individually. But that doesn't mean that it's going to, there's only so many Democrat so many Democrat voters. They've already tried milking this as far as they can before 2024. But so they're having House sessions in California to try and determine whether or not they should put forward a proposal to do away with their mandate and basically call for a statewide vote as to whether or not they should do away a referendum as to doing away with that law, which empowers that independent agency individually or not. And they've also created their own maps that they're hoping will replace, as I shared with you, a copy of the proposed map. That was the map that Democrats were hoping would be used in place of their current map. Now, that map has actually been changed, where they tweaked it even further to what they think is a better map for Democrats. But the question is, who's been drawing these maps? And Ms. Alexandra Macedo is the vice chair of the California State Assembly Committee on Elections. She says only Democrats were allowed input on new maps, and they're trying to ram them through without review. She'll fight them in court. Let's hear from her directly.
Additionally, I received a text message at 8 o'clock this morning.
That she said, so let me warn anybody who'll be testifying tomorrow. If you don't answer my questions tomorrow, this was yesterday she said this. We'll see the follow-up in a moment. Attorneys will be making sure you answer them in a courtroom. Okay. So she's saying she received a text message at 8 o'clock this morning,
informing me that the language was available. On that language, it showed Democrat co-authors on the bills, meaning that our Democrat colleagues got a first look at all of this, and they gave me barely 24 hours before committee tomorrow to prepare. So let me warn anybody who will be testifying tomorrow. If you don't answer my questions tomorrow, attorneys will be making sure you answer them in a courtroom. You can run, but you cannot hide. And we are not backing down from this fight. You are disenfranchising Californians, and we are tired of democracy dying here. We will fight back. We are in the super minority, but we are effective, and we will defeat this. If it's not here in the Capitol, it will be in a courtroom, or it will be at the ballot box. Additionally,
So there you go. There you go. That was her yesterday. Now, This is I have this clip here. This actually relates to both California and Texas, because when they were doing the Texas thing, the whole Texas two-step to try and get the gerrymandering done in favor of Republicans there, and the Democrats had fled. I told you how Hakeem Jeffries and Democratic and various Democratic leaders were working with the Texas Democrats, which it's so baffling. You're supposed to be helping your state, and all of a sudden these people are coming in from across the country and they're supposed to be giving you guidance. I want you to watch this clip, because this is a fascinating clip, that in order to leave, because they had fled the state, when they came back in order to leave, I covered yesterday how the Texas members of the Texas House, the Democrats, had to get like a hall pass to go to like the bathroom, because they said, we don't want you to run away again. Well, watch what happened. This is Texas State Representative Nicole Collier, who's a Democrat from the state legislature, not federal. She's a state legislature and she's on a conference call with Cory Booker and Gavin Newsom, where she's basically supposed to be the liaison between them and the Texas Democrats in the state legislature. Now, the audacity of these people. So they're like trying to get guidance, like, what should we do? What should we do? She's on a conference call with them, which I don't even know why they recorded it. They think that this shows them favorably, as opposed to, how much meddling are you doing in the state of Texas? Who the hell do you think you are, Cory Booker? Who do you think you are, Gavin Newsom? The head of the DNC is on this call also. Check this out. This is a pretty wild thing. And the reaction from Cory Booker just tells you everything about Democrats.
They said it's a felony for me to do this. Apparently, I can't be on the floor or in the bathroom. Well, you told me I was only allowed to be here in the bathroom. No, hang on. Bye, everybody. I've got to go.
Hey, that is outrageous. And first of all, let me tell you something. Representative Collier in the bathroom has more dignity than Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
You're such a clown, Cory Booker. They talk about dignity. You don't know the first damn thing about what dignity is. First and foremost, if you understood what dignity is, you would see like you get yourself like a physical trainer, because you're letting yourself go in ways that are just humiliating. But beyond that, the way he screams like some trans woman every time he gets outraged, the way he carries himself in general, where he's stamping his foot and thinks that if I act like AOC, maybe I'll become as popular as AOC, is utterly shameful. And he's sitting here every time he can try and find some way to put a dig into Donald Trump. Where all of a sudden, how is Donald Trump relevant to this? I don't know, but it's like, let me just say she's in the bathroom and has more dignity than Donald Trump. He's such a clown. He's such a clown. But he's going to invoke misogyny, racism. He's going to invoke all sorts of garbage right now. Check out this dignity.
There you go. That is outrageous. What they're trying to do right there is silence an American leader, silence a black woman.
Silence a black woman. That's what they're trying. No, they're not trying to silence. They're trying to silence you. They're silencing you, that she could talk. They want her in here. They're saying she has to come in here. They just want her to express her own opinions, not yours. That's it. They're not trying to silence anyone. They're saying you can come in here. You can talk. You're part of our state legislature. We're demanding that you come in here. That's what we're doing. No one's silencing her. They're silencing you. You're the one being silenced because you're trying to whisper in here. Then you're going to go over here. Make sure that you say this. Try and kick your feet this way. Maybe this is another way you could slow it down. They're not silencing her. They're silencing Gavin Newsom. They're silencing the head of the DNC who's on this call. They're silencing Cory Booker. That's what they're doing. Idiots.
And that is outrageous. And I hope everybody took note of that. The fact that
took note of that. I took note of the fact that they want her there because they're not silencing her. They're silencing you from inputting her and influencing her. That's what they're doing. And they should be silencing you because you don't belong there. You're my New Jersey state senator, and you're sitting here trying to influence how the Texas state legislature operates.
She can't even let her voice be heard.
Of course she can.
Freaking outrageous.
You're outrageous.
And this is
this clown over here, the head of the DNC. Yeah. You can see that, like, basically his ability to look sad and depressed and like he's sitting on something uncomfortable is probably what got this guy elected to be the head of the DNC.
What we're fighting for here. This is ultimately what this is about. What we just witnessed.
What we just witnessed was them saying you have to come back in because we need your voice in there.
Them trying to shut her down and say it's illegal for her to be in the bathroom and on this call.
Yeah.
This is the length.
This call is not her voice. This call is her getting your voice.
That they're going to in Texas to try to bring about a system so unjust. And
you should be, like I said, this guy doesn't need to be calling black women from Texas. He needs to be calling a personal trainer.
So unjustifiable that they are going to try to silence those leaders from being heard and speaking out. I hope I hope people felt what just happened like I did.
No one felt it like you did. No one sane felt it like you did.
Because I've watched for too long in this country as women like her, as they come after people like.
Oh, it looks like he's about to start crying as they come after people like, they're not coming after her. They're coming after you. That's what it is. They're coming after you.
I hope I hope people felt what just happened like I did.
Crack.
Because I've watched for too long in this country as women like her, as they come after people like her to try to silence her, to try to silence them. But no more. This is not going to happen.
Man. This guy has to, I have to get rid of Cory Booker. I can't have this guy as my senator anymore. Yeah. So this also ties in again to the California thing. But I had a couple more that I wanted to share. So I wanted to share with you the developments as to what this is from today. This is what was happening today. You saw Alexandra Macedo yesterday. Here's Alexandra Macedo from the California State Legislature, from the Elections Committee of the California State Legislature, coming in here and asking questions about what the heck happened with these maps. Who made these maps? And they won't answer any questions. Gavin Newsom swore that they were going to have transparency on this whole thing. That's what he said. He said, we'll be doing it. We'll be doing it proper. And here's her holding his feet to the fire. Not that he's there. He's too much of a coward to be standing there. But holding their feet to the fire of the Democrats over the way they're conducting this entire redistricting plan in California.
Drew the maps. It's a very simple question. Names, preferably. Who drew the maps? It's a very simple question. Names, preferably.
Assembly.
Assembly did it.
Okay, I'm in the assembly and I did not draw these maps. So I'm asking.
The assembly did. I'm in the assembly. What does that mean? The assembly did. They didn't, because I was there. I'm in the assembly and I wasn't there.
Who drew these maps?
The legislature drew the maps.
Oh, okay. So instead of assembly, we'll use the word legislature.
Who specifically in the legislature?
The legislature drew the maps.
This is transparency that we don't get to know who drew the maps.
The legislature drew the maps.
So you wrote the maps or helped write the maps?
The team did. I didn't personally write the maps.
So then there you go. She's in leadership and she just said she didn't write the maps.
She was part of the leadership. How long have you seen the language in this bill? When did you first get it? Because I did not get it till yesterday. So how much time did you have?
Well, I'm here to answer technical questions about how the bill works.
I'm here to answer technical questions. I'm not going to tell you like how far in advance we had this stuff.
Since it takes me so long to read, I just wanted to know how long you had to read it. And if you, as a representative
Let's stick to the merits of the bill. Let's ask questions about.
This is a merit. This is back.
This is not the merits.
How long it takes somebody to read.
Under the new redistricting proposal, and the main reason why I'm asking for so much time is because the questions that I prepped yesterday when I saw this all changed because the maps changed at 8 p.m. last night.
The maps were released on Friday, I believe, and they have not changed.
They changed for the census tract.
That's the guy next to her telling her, the maps did change. The maps did change.
Madam Chair, the fact that you don't know that should cause worry to everybody.
8 a.m. yesterday. Sorry,
No,
not
they
8 p.m.
changed-
8 a.m.
changed
this day.
At 8 p.m. last night, there was a change at 8
My
p.m.
understanding it was 8 a.m., but
I am eager to hear
regardless,
your questions
what
in
is your
regards to whatever
question
changes
to the
there were
merit of the bill?
maps.
There you go. That's the lack of transparency. A little more on that here.
Someone in time upon. That's a question that actually we need the media to expose. What kicked off this entire redistricting portion and what happened in Texas? Texas was sued by far left groups, and they have a legal basis to change their maps.
Meaning in Texas, they went through the courts, and the courts said, yeah, the Republicans have a right to do this. But you don't have any approval over here.
California is doing here is a response to that. It's not that they don't like the redistricting, it's that they don't like the results of their lawsuit. They opened the door. Look into the Elias group. Look into what happened in Texas. That's what's kicked off this redistricting war. Not Republicans, not the president, not anybody else. A far left progressive group sued the state of Texas, forcing Texas to redraw the maps. What California is doing is playing corruption and using issues in other states to rig our own elections. There is no legal basis to it, and the media needs to expose that. That's what's happening in Texas, not the same conditions that we have here. California voters already spoke. They said we want our districts to be in an independent, fair commission, and we set that. When other states do this, it's not our job to react to what other states are doing. It's our job to be better. And instead, this governor is dragging us down instead of showing us by example on what to do. That's your legislative body here. That's the supermajority in Sacramento. They're the ones saying, we'll bring you down when we believe others don't do what we want, instead of showing by example that we can do it better. What me and this other group of assembly members is saying, let's prove to the rest of the nation how the fair redistricting process in California is better than anywhere else.
Yeah, right. Yeah, better than anywhere else. I don't think you're ever going to prove that. I don't think you're ever going to prove that. Redistricting something that was redistricted back to what it used to be is not a big deal. It's not going back to what it used to be, but it's. I agree with you that they're going to struggle to milk any more. I don't think they're going to get 5 more seats out of it. I could be wrong. I don't think they're going to get 5 more seats out of it. Texas GOP should have entered a new map for all 9 Democratic districts when the Democrats show up again. Teach them a lesson for whining and tantrums about only 5. Yeah, I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid that there's too many Democrats that you're going to end up having a problem. Trust me, I'm sure the Republicans did everything they can to milk every last member of the House that they could. Saying DM federal government mortgage fraud. Send me a DM on federal government mortgage fraud. Oh, we'll see. Maybe I'll come back to it later. We'll see. Here is that woman who is the chair of the committee there. All again, still refusing to answer questions because Democrats have no answers for the way they're doing this, the way they're trying to pull this, because this is pulling a fast one in California. California has a set way of doing their redistricting, and they're basically trying to tear the whole thing apart and change the system as to how they set up their boundary lines because they're throwing a tantrum about what happened in Texas. Not that it's their business, not that it's the state legislature's business. I mean, that's doing the state's interest. Ridiculous.
Who exactly is responsible for the maps? Who do we tell California voters drew these?
Well, so the maps have been posted on our website since 8 o'clock yesterday. The lines are very clear where people can go on and observe and see what we're doing.
That's not answering the question.
There are adjustments. Many counties and many districts are not getting touched at all. So,
Madam Chair, I'm sorry. My question is, who is responsible for the maps specifically? Who do we let California voters know are responsible for the maps that they are being presented with?
Yeah, I think it was a collaboration.
There was several people involved.
Who specifically?
It was a collaboration.
I don't have the full list right here with me.
No one has the full list. Give us like some of the names you know.
But we could certainly get that too. But these maps are transparent. They're there for voters.
How is it transparent? It's transparent in that they actually have so they're holding up the map as a hologram. How is this map transparent? What about this is transparent?
Names of the people. The names of the people, the organizations. I mean, Governor Gavin Newsom promised that no special interest or this would be transparent. This would not be done in a back room.
We're definitely.
So we're trying to ascertain in the spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Newsom said it's not going to be done in a back room, and that's the only place this was done.
Very short amount of time that you have to deliberate this. Who exactly are the maps responsible for?
There's a lot happening very quickly, and the folks that were drawing the maps went back to the Independent Redistricting Commission's testimony and what they heard during their time when they were deliberating this, and they themselves ran out of time to do the work that they needed to do. And so we're basing these on the Voting Rights Act, and we're looking at really bringing the voters into this process. And that's why we're going to an election.
You're not answering the question.
On November 4th, because at the end of the day, the voter's voice is what matters.
Oh, shut up. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to give you some empty platitude. At the end, so blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, let me give you some empty platitude.
We're asking because voters back in 2008 and 2010 took the power away from politicians to draw maps because they did not like that it was an incumbent protection plan. So we just need to know. I mean, that's why we're asking.
These are definitely unusual times. We are no longer governing in a democracy. We're governing in an authoritarian government.
Oh, is that what we're at? We're governing an authoritarian government? And the name of the authoritarian is Gavin Newsom, apparently.
We are seeing things that we care so deeply about in California. We have education, food for children, our immigrant community, our
What the hell does that have to do with redistricting?
LGBT community. They are getting decimated by this administration.
How so? How's the LGBTQ community been decimated by this administration?
This is an all-out assault on California's democracy and the rights and values. So we have to move quickly, but we are bringing the voters on to this process. We're letting them know the maps have been posted on the website. We have this election on November 4th. And at the end of the day, the voters will decide what is important to them and whether they want to adjust these maps to give California the voice it needs in Congress.
But can any of you answer whether or not state lawmakers involved in drawing the maps? Any state lawmakers at all?
Not to my knowledge.
But so then who adjusted them last night at 8 p.m.?
It was my understanding that they were by 8 a.m. They were out there.
No, Monday,
there was a collaboration, but we can get to the people that actually did that work.
So then why does the legislation say the detailed maps are prepared by the Assembly and State Senate elections committees?
So the reality is that it was a collaboration, and we can get to those specifics. I think what's most important is the maps are out there for people to see, to evaluate, to make a
How's anyone supposed to see or evaluate? What does that mean?
Judgment on the lines are the lines.
Madam Chair, but
so we are that
when you consume something, don't you want to know who makes it? When you are presented with something, don't you want to know where it's coming from? Don't voters deserve
when
to
I
know?
go to a restaurant, I don't need to meet the chef. I just
This is an interesting line she's saying here.
enjoy the food.
Yeah, when I go to a restaurant, I don't need to meet the chef. I just enjoy the food. Yeah, but that's assuming that you trust the chef. That's the point. The point is that you have a reason to trust the chef. She's basically saying, shut up and eat it in a way that she thinks is clever. But this is the same snarkiness as Gavin Newsom, where it's like, no, you don't need to know anything about what happened. You don't need to know who the chef is. That's what she's saying. When I go to a restaurant, I don't need to meet the chef. Oh, okay. But I need to know whether the chef is trying to poison me. I mean, if I'm worried about someone who's coming to try and poison me, maybe I would say I should meet the chef. If I'm someone who half the country is trying to kill, maybe I'd say I should meet the chef. I don't know. Discussion is the better part of valor on that one, right? I think perhaps. Yeah. The reason you go to a restaurant is because you know you have an idea who's running the restaurant and you trust that they're going to hire a chef that's not trying to kill you. That's kind of actually baked in. One of the things I have whenever I go to restaurants is I sort of have as a general rule that I'm going to places that I don't have to worry that there are people who are trying to, see my demise. But she says when I go to a restaurant, that's because you're choosing the restaurant. We didn't choose these people. You're choosing them. That's all. That's what they call democracy. Democracy is we choose who's in charge. And ever the feeling it's so critical and vital to weigh in with his voice is this clown who will never ever go away. He's never going to go away. Barack Obama. Have I mentioned Barack Obama? I feel like I mentioned Barack Obama earlier. Over the long term, we shouldn't have political gerrymandering in America. Just a fair fight between Republicans and Democrats based on who's got better ideas. But since Texas is taking direction from a partisan White House, no, what are you talking? Did you look at it? Have you seen Illinois? Have you seen Maryland? Have you seen Massachusetts? Have you seen California already? Currently? Before they gerrymander further? Yeah. taking direction from a partisan White House and gerrymandering in the middle of a decade to try and maintain the House despite their unpopular policies. That's not at all true. Trust me, no one, it's not more popular to say, yay, criminals, free the criminals. I have tremendous respect for Governor Newsom, for how Governor Newsom has approached this. He's put forward a smart, measured approach, smart and measured, very smart and measured, designed to address a very particular problem. The particular problem is we don't have enough political power. That's the problem. That's literally the problem. What problem is he addressing? Particular problem, a very particular moment in time. Yeah, particular problem is that people hate the Democrats. That's the particular problem. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. God, I hate that man. All right. And earlier today, I think this as we're near, I've been here 2.5 hours. So I want to do this. Yeah, I mentioned this story about the truck driver at the very beginning of the show. If you came late, shame on you for that. But I knew I had a clip on this somewhere here. In my long list of threads, it was the very last one. So, Harjinder Singh, an illegal alien from India who killed 3 innocent people, failed an English language proficiency assessment. Singh provided correct responses to just two out of 12 verbal questions and only accurately identifying 1 of 4 highway traffic signs. So he can't read English and doesn't even know what a traffic sign looks like. And yet Gavin Newsom's sanctuary, California, gave this illegal alien who cannot speak English a commercial driver's license to drive an 18-wheeler. DHS will work with U.S. Department of Transportation to root out and prevent illegal aliens from obtaining these licenses from sanctuary jurisdictions that put American drivers and passengers in danger. So here's
Dana, 28-year-old Harjinder Singh is expected back in Florida later this week to face state charges of vehicular homicide. He's currently being held in California without bond. He appeared in court yesterday with the help of an interpreter. He agreed to sign paperwork for his extradition, and Florida authorities must pick him up by August 27. Singh was driving on Florida's Turnpike last week when authorities say he attempted an illegal U-turn, blocking oncoming traffic. A minivan slammed into the trailer, killing 3 Florida residents inside. Following the wreck, investigators with the U.S. DOT gave Singh an English language proficiency test. According to a DOT press release, the driver failed the assessment, providing correct responses to just 2 of 12 verbal questions and only accurately identifying 1 of 4 highway traffic signs. Because Singh, who entered the U.S. from Mexico in 2018, is an asylum seeker from India, the DOT says Washington state violated federal guidelines by issuing him a full-term commercial driver's license in 2023. And they believe New Mexico State Police may have failed to assess his English skills during a roadside inspection. Additionally, the DOT says it's investigating whether California acted within federal guidelines when it issued Singh a limited term CDL in 2024.
So there you go. California issuing a limited term commercial driver's license to this guy who should be nowhere near a highway. Honestly, he shouldn't even be in a car, much less driving one. And here's Donald Trump, who's decided that enough is enough. We actually have laws on the books that are supposed to keep these people from driving and being a menace on the road, and unfortunately in this instance killing 3 innocent people. And I'm not, it's simply a matter of safety. It's not a matter of that they don't speak English. Like I said, I wouldn't try to drive in Saudi Arabia. I wouldn't try to drive in China, a commercial truck. Unbelievable. It's crazy. Here's Trump saying he's doing away with this and we're going to be enforcing these laws which prohibit them from having commercial driver's licenses.
President Donald Trump's putting teeth into a decades-old federal rule requiring commercial truck drivers to read and speak English. The executive order signed in April mandates that drivers must pass on-the-spot English proficiency tests as a non-negotiable safety standard. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy says the law put in place during the Obama administration has never properly been enforced.
Allowing drivers who cannot read stop signs or understand police officers' instructions to operate an 80,000-pound big rig threatens the safety of every American on our roadways.
The two-step test requires drivers first respond to authorities sufficiently in English. If the driver passes, but the officer suspects incompetency, step 2 requires they pass a highway traffic sign assessment.
A side of the road test regarding this executive order is really about proficiency. Some basic English. When you look at a sign, you understand what it means. To protect everyone on the road.
Supporters say the issue is about safety, not politics. Alex Miller is the president and CEO of the Florida Trucking Association. She tells me all drivers, especially those operating 40-ton rigs, need to fully grasp what's on the road.
I think that it is a significant issue, especially when there are so many cross-border trucking companies and then moving goods, back and forth from Mexico.
Failing the test puts the driver out of service immediately and could disqualify them from obtaining a CDL in the future.
So there you go. They really do need to get these people off the road because they are quite the menace. They are quite the menace. I missed this earlier from Uzelli. He said the youth in D.C. need married parents, and he's correct. The deconstruction of the family structure is at the root of all of these problems. It really is. That and a lack of belief in God. Because if you genuinely believe in God, you wouldn't be doing half the things these people are doing. The last thing I want to share with you is actually what Job for 9 brought up. RIP Judge Frank Caprio, age 88, of pancreatic cancer. Many of you are likely to know him more by face than by name. Judge Frank Caprio. There's seemingly a thousand different videos of this judge who was practically like a saint. This is Judge Frank Caprio. I haven't even reviewed this particular video. I already know that when you watch it, it's almost like you're watching this. When you watch him work, it's almost like watching someone from a sappy 1990s, angels from heaven type of thing. It's like he's making some very special moment for TV. Because he'll be harsh sometimes, but he's more often than not like he's a teddy bear. I'm sure he is here. I haven't even seen this, and I already know that he's going to do something that's just ridiculously heartwarming.
You were going to the VA hospital? Yeah. Were you in the service, sir?
Yeah.
What branch of the service?
See my
no. What branch?
Your Honor.
Yeah. Where did you serve?
Vietnam.
You in Vietnam?
Yeah.
How long were you in Vietnam?
66 to 68, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. 2 years.
Yeah.
I have a very particular affinity toward those that served in Vietnam. Number one, because of the service to our country. And number two, because of the way they were treated when they came home.
I'm not looking for anything special as far as my military service, Your Honor. That's up to you, your discretion.
No, you didn't bring it up. I brought it up.
Okay.
And you are just like all of the other Vietnam veterans that I know. They're not looking for anything, right? They're all real men. They're willing to take it on the chin, and they're not looking for anything special. And unfortunately, when they came back from Vietnam, they weren't treated the way they should have been treated. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. Did you have any of those experiences?
I'm sorry?
Did you have any of those experiences
Yes.
when you came home?
Yeah.
The total fines are $270. How much can you afford to pay?
I'd have to pay in a time thing, Your Honor. I'm on a set income, so if you can give me some time to pay it up, I'll pay it.
How much can you pay?
I don't know, Your Honor. Whatever.
What have you got with you tonight?
I don't, $50 maybe, something like that.
Sir, I'm going to charge you $25, and your $25 payment is going to be paid by one of the many people who have sent in contributions to this court to be used in my discretion for people that I think are worthy. So I'm going to fine you $25. You don't have to pay it. Okay. So it's going to cost you nothing. So as far as you were concerned, the case is dismissed. We appreciate your service in Vietnam. Thank you for your service and good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Like I said, it's like just one heartwarming moment after another, which is why it's very, I'm sure right now he's receiving countless blessings in heaven, because that man is just, he shows you how he showed how a job can be done with dignity and respect, where there are clips of him not taking any guff, as he would likely say. And thankfully he lived a fairly long life, 88 years, and nothing but blessings and respect for his soul. And it's anytime we lose someone like that, it's a sad day, because they don't make him like Frank Caprio anymore. So rest in peace, Judge Frank Caprio. And sorry to leave you on a downer like that, but yeah, that's it. I actually, when I saw that he passed, it kind of hit me a little bit, and I was just like, well, it's a sad day. It's a sad day, and frankly, for his soul, I'm sure it's a very happy day, because I have no doubt. I just look at this guy and I listen to him for 10 minutes, and I'm like, this is a guy who just is racking up points into heaven, countless points in heaven every day. So I hope his family can find some solace in that, in the admiration, respect, and love that he received here on earth, and I'm sure he's receiving in heaven. And with that, I thank you all for joining me, and have a good night and Godspeed.